And we should be live. Just gotta get the usual things set up. I'm aware, computer, that you're crashing out. Just gotta finish. We're almost done. We're almost done, computer. We're almost ready. Just gotta open this, close that. Howdy, howdy. Thoughts on thoughts. My computer is very finicky, if you will, so apparently it requires some convincing. All right, we should be good to go. Hopefully, my processing time isn't too bad. OBS is eating 55% of the processing. It doesn't like encoding the flames. It's honestly, it's gotta not be, I doubt it's the flames. Oh my god, was it the flames? Hold on. Oh my god, it's the flames! Oh, that's such a shame. Yeah, but it takes 25% of my processing time to deal with the flames. Okay, I have a solution. All we're going to do is we're just going to go open those flames, take a screenshot of them, and just put them in the background. That's absurd. That is the most absurd. All right, let's bring up a guest. That's the most absurd thing. That's wild. It's a bummer too, because the flames are like peak. Hold on, let me just go grab a screen grab from these flames. Okay, can I would like a screen. How do I get a still? Why am I so incompetent with this? All right, we're just not going to worry about it right now. That's hilarious. We're actually running at peak at proper functionality now. This is great. This is amazing. Do you always come live on YouTube or in real life too? What? I don't follow. Sorry, y'all. We're just finishing getting set up. Let's do let's bring on this person. Sorry, we're just adding a little bit of little bit more spice for the YouTube people. There we go. Sorry for the TikTok people. Anyway, all right, we should be open for business. Wasn't there a Christian operating system? Yeah, there absolutely was. I remember hearing about that. It's actually like hilarious that that's the case. But yeah, absolutely a real thing. All right, let's bring on a guest. God loves you, pretty boy. Pretty boy. Well, I'm glad that you think I'm pretty. No, it's only on TikTok. I specifically put that only on TikTok. It's not supposed to be on YouTube. Reach, how's it going?
Good, man. How's everything?
I'm doing all right. What do you believe in? How are you going to convince me of it?
I believe in God. I think you should believe in one too.
Well, which one do you believe in?
The God. Just one.
Okay, but are you like a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu,
No.
Zoroastrian?
No. Just a theist.
Just a theist. What properties of this theistic deity do you believe in? What properties does it have?
Just the usual, you know, the omnipotence, omniscience, you know, the usual.
Does it love us? Does it care about us at all?
I think it's difficult to say. Maybe love is it's not really. Maybe this God loves us, but in a different way. But I would say so. Yeah.
So it's it's omniscient, it's all powerful, but perhaps not all loving in the way that we think.
Maybe not. You know, I would say, for the sake of simplicity, yeah. Let's just go with, yeah, it is all loving.
So why should I believe in this thing at all? Why should I think it's real?
I just think it's logical to believe in a God that versus being atheist.
Okay, can you elaborate?
Well, I think for two reasons. I think that the universe had a beginning, so I think you would agree with that as well, right?
I lean against that actually, but I mean, yeah, I'm not so sure.
You don't think the universe had a beginning? You're not sure about that?
I lean that it did. I lean in the direction of it not having a beginning.
That's interesting. So you believe that the universe has always existed then?
That at least seems plausible.
But how can you say that when most of even physicists say that there's evidence that it did have a beginning?
Well, there's evidence that the universe as we know it had a beginning, meaning that like 13.8 billion years ago, it was a very, very, very different place. But there's no evidence that that was actually like the beginning of time.
There's evidence that the universe was a singularity.
No, there's not.
13.8 billion years ago.
There is no evidence of any singularity.
So you don't believe that the expansion of the universe is a point, and it shows that the Big Bang occurred and that the universe was.
I believe that the Big Bang occurred.
Okay, so regardless, whether there was a singularity or not, you don't think that the universe had a beginning.
I don't think that the Big Bang was the beginning. How about that?
You don't think the Big Bang? Okay, so what is your evidence for that? Isn't that just you being also a theist in a way?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't believe in a deity, right? So yeah, I'm not a theist.
You believe in something that you don't really have any backing for.
There's a reason why I believe that. Like, for example, I believe that because it's consistent with quantum mechanics. I believe that because, at least if you look at various theories of quantum gravity, those theories of quantum gravity resolve the singularity, and in one of them, loop quantum gravity, we see that we get a bounce in cosmology. So rather than having a Big Bang that's the beginning of time, you have like a collapsing universe that collapses and then rebounds and gives us the Big Bang. There's recent data that suggests that our universe might recollapse in the future. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I believe it.
Yeah, but what observable evidence do you have that shows that the universe, before the Big Bang occurred, was there was a rebound?
Well, so I mean, look, I have theoretical evidence. Like, it's not definitive evidence by no means. That's why I'm not like dogmatic about it. Rather, I just think that it's plausible and that we should take it seriously.
You could say that, sure, but that means that if that's the belief that you hold right now, you're a theist. You're basically a theist.
Theism is believing in a deity, is it not?
Well, you have qualities of a theist. So you believe.
What qualities of a theist do I have?
Well, you have faith in something without any evidence, because
I just told you what evidence there is.
Yeah, you're talking about certain models that exist, but the thing is, that's not widely accepted. It's not widely accepted. There's other.
I mean, the universe having a beginning is also not widely accepted.
What do you mean?
It's not widely accepted. Maybe 40 years ago you would have been in the majority, but that's like not the consensus anymore.
The consensus is okay. Is it not the consensus that the universe, the beginning of the universe, was the Big Bang?
No, the consensus is the beginning of our universe. The universe as we know it is the Big Bang.
I'm not following. You're saying that you're basically
look. Imagine that. So there's a whole bunch of different views on this, but essentially everybody agrees that the observable universe and our local universe, if you will, that was in a very different state 13.8 billion years ago, and we would call that state that it was in a Big Bang. But it doesn't say anything about what happened before that, like whether there was universe before that or not. It doesn't say anything about that.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, at some point you have to make a decision, or you have to basically postulate what might have occurred before the Big Bang. What was there before the Big Bang, right? So
Yeah.
any kind of theories or beliefs that you have are your faith. You have faith in
Well,
them.
or I can just be agnostic about it.
So which one are you? You said earlier
I lean towards it having always existed, but that doesn't mean that I'm like not willing to be proven wrong, and I'm not waiting for more data to come out.
Okay, well, let's just say, for instance, that data will never come out, and it
will in like a month.
Unknowable.
No, it will in like a month.
So you're saying a month from now we'll know what happened before the Big Bang?
We will have significantly more data than we had last year. And that, who knows, I mean, the nature of that data is unknown. We don't know what it is yet because it's not out yet. But it may very well change our view of the universe. That's the whole business of cosmology.
Okay, so let's just okay, for now, since it has not yet happened, let's just say it's intrinsically unknowable. Then what?
I don't think that's true. I don't know why you would think it's intrinsically unknowable.
I'm saying let's just say that.
Okay,
that
we can grant something false for the sake of argument, I guess.
Let's grant, yeah, sure. Let's grant it false for the sake of argument. Then what would be your
Then I'd be agnostic.
You'd just be an agnostic.
I'd be agnostic about the origins of the universe.
So you would just be like in a perpetual until you're dead. You'd just be like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, if it's unknowable, why would I choose to believe something?
Well, have you ever you've heard of Pascal's wager, right? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I have heard of Pascal's wager.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you?
Because Pascal's wager, it doesn't work. Like, it fails.
Why does it?
It fails when you consider that there's more than one type of God, with more than one type of heaven or hell. By the way, the God you believe in doesn't have a heaven or hell. At least you didn't stipulate that.
I didn't say that it does or doesn't. I think that the God...
You just said you're just a theist, and I asked you what properties it has, and you said the omni properties. You didn't say anything about a heaven or hell.
Well, I mean, yeah, we didn't really, flesh into that too much. But, yeah, I do think that there is, I believe that God is just. So people who are immoral will be punished. People who are not moral will be... people who are moral will be rewarded, yeah.
So then Pascal's wager has nothing to say about me, because as long as I'm a decent person, it doesn't matter whether I believe in God or not. I would still be rewarded.
I mean, ultimately, it would be up to that God to decide what to do with you. But if you are, given signs and evidence and just logical evidence, observable...
You know that this only works for the Christian God, right? Like, no other gods are like, oh, well, the only way to get saved is to believe in me.
I'm not a Christian, so I don't know what Christians exactly believe in, like, in depth.
So then why are you using the Christian version of God? That's a weird... Like, Pascal's wager only works for the Christian God. Maybe the Islamic God as well. But, like, it only works for those.
I mean, I guess you could say, in a sense... I mean, I'm not too sure about the Jewish religion. Like, I don't know if they have a heaven or hell.
There is no notion of, like, hell in the Jewish religion.
I know they have, some Jews have like a reincarnation, belief in reincarnation, but whether you believe that it's going to be hell or whether you believe it's going to be some type of reincarnation, it's going to be some kind of punishment, I believe. Yeah, if you believe that
not
the God
in the Jewish tradition, no.
Okay, well, in any case, well, actually, no. Some Jews do believe in reincarnation. Some Jews do.
If they do, then they're not believing in Jewish theology, right? Like, Jewish theology doesn't say anything about reincarnation. Like, you'll have Jewish people who also like attach on, like, some more Eastern traditions onto their own faith tradition, but that has nothing to do with Judaism.
Again, I think that's kind of subjective. I'm not sure if you're Jewish or you
I am Jewish, yeah.
Jewish? Okay, so it might be different. You have different types of Jews. I guess certain Jews, they follow more like a mystical belief system. Like they do believe in reincarnation as opposed to hell and heaven. And then
right,
I think
but that's just not part of Judaism. That's part of, like, so if you take Judaism and then you, like, mix it in with, like, Buddhism or Hinduism or Taoism, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert by no means on Jewish, on Judaism, but basically, I just think that being an atheist, I want to get back to my main point, which is that being an atheist is just it's just irrational. I just don't think there's any need to be an atheist. I think everyone can just agree that the universe had a creator, and this creator, he set the laws in motion for us to observe and study and live in and be a part of. And I just don't think that it's right to just say that the universe has always existed. I just don't think it's a logical stance.
What's the where's the irrationality in being an atheist?
The belief that the universe always existed and didn't have a...
By the way, you can be an atheist and still think the universe had a beginning, for what it's worth. Or rather think that there was a first moment of time.
Yeah, but then...
Those are not incompatible.
Okay, but if you believe that the universe had a beginning, if you're an atheist and you believe that, then I think you're just kind of... You're basically at the finish line. You just need to cross and just become a theist at that point.
I mean, not really. There are entirely compatible worldviews that don't require a god and still have a beginning for the universe. Like, I don't see what the issue is. But like you said that it's irrational. Like, where's the poor decision or poor reasoning? Where's the irrationality in it? It just sounds like you just want me to agree without telling me why.
No, I don't just want you to agree with. No, I just don't think that it's a logical stance to have, because first of all, I want to figure out. Before I can flesh that out for you, I want to understand. I want to understand. That's why I was asking you kind of like the discovery questions, trying to see what your stance was, because you said you're leaning towards the universe having always existed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But again, you said the observable universe. The observable universe is just the universe that we can observe because of the expansion and because light it's been outpaced. The speed of light is outpaced by the speed of the expansion the further you go out. So basically, what does that have to do with? I mean, why are you separating the two? Like, we know that there is a universe beyond the observable universe. It's just not accessible to us. So what does that have to do?
So I say observable universe because, and I did say universe at large, but there are like a whole bunch of different possible ideas as to what could be going on. Like, there's this notion of eternal inflation where our universe is actually finite in size, and perhaps it's a few hundred times bigger than the observable universe, but it's not infinitely large. And then that finite size bubble, that kind of popped out of like an eternal inflation process. So like there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can go about having an eternal universe in self-consistent ways. So I was just, hedging my bets.
Okay. Well, again, because you made it seem like the observable universe and then the non-observable universe, which would be the inaccessible part of the universe that we can't see due to light not being able to travel to us. You made it seem like it's how should I say it? Like it's two different universes that we're talking about.
Well, so what I'm trying to convey is that there's the universe that we know, which is like filled with galaxies and stars and stuff. And then there's the universe as it was 13.8 billion years ago, which was very different, didn't have any of that stuff. And so the question is whether or not the universe as we know it with like stars and galaxies, that had a beginning definitely about 13.8 billion years ago. What was going on before that is a very different question. But it was still like the same space-time continuum, if that is a well-defined notion 13.8 billion years ago.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, there were no galaxies that early on because the universe had to cool down and had to basically, the environment had to be, I guess, stable enough or it had to basically be able to host galaxies. It's like when the Earth was really, really hot, we couldn't have life. The Earth had to cool down, and then water had to come into the picture, and the scenery had to be ready for life.
Right.
So
all I'm saying is that like prior to 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was in a very different phase. And then before that, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and then 13 billion years from now, the universe is also going to be in a different phase, or whenever.
No, it'll be basically the same.
I mean, okay, sorry, 13 trillion years from now.
It'll still be basically the same. It'll be classically governed by general relativity and quantum mechanics. But it'll be basically the same.
Eventually, you'll get to a point where entropy just gets to a degree where you can't have stars anime. It'll just be black holes, and then
that depends on what the long-term future of the universe is, which is up in the air right now.
So the point is, the universe is going to go through a lot of changes. It's continuously changing, and it'll always change, right? But my point is, at some point, you don't believe that you're leaning towards that the universe has always existed, which I don't.
In one form or another, yes.
There's just no evidence. I feel like you're a theist.
There's no evidence that it had a beginning either.
There's more evidence pointing to a beginning than not.
What evidence is there?
Because we have there's proof of the Big Bang happening, or some type of
there's
event,
proof that the universe was small, that the observable universe was small 13.8 billion years ago. That's what there's proof of. That's what we have evidence of. We don't have any evidence about, you know, that being the beginning, that being a singularity. We don't have any evidence of any of that.
We have evidence that the universe is expanding now, right? So if you
Yes.
rewind the clock, the universe, if you go back far enough, the universe was smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
And then you get to a point where you can't keep winding the clock back because the theories that we use to do so fall apart.
We've been able to rewind the clock, if I'm not mistaken, like milliseconds after the Big Bang, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on who you ask, but it's anywhere from a thousandth of a nanosecond to about a second is where things start getting a little bit iffy. Yeah.
So that's, again, and being able to go that far back.
And do you know how big it was at that time? About 10 to the minus 33 seconds after t equals 0, whatever t equals 0 is. It was about the size of a beach ball.
Yeah. It was. Again, I don't really, but I take all of those little, those discoveries, I take them with a grain of salt. I don't think we actually know, to be quite honest with you.
Then why are you citing the Big Bang as evidence if you don't believe it?
No, I'm talking about like the specific, it was the size of a beach ball, or it was the size of a lawn chair. It was I don't think we know for sure. I think. Well, I mean,
these are just things that we can just do the math for. But sure, maybe it was the size of a bus instead of a beach ball. The point is it was roughly human interaction size, human scale.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, so we were able to go that far back, and it all points to, again, something becoming. The universe becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So
but the point is that at that limit, that point, 10 to the minus 33 seconds or whatever, we don't know how matter and gravity interact anymore. So we just can't make any further inferences about what happens earlier than that. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, but you're making inferences about the universe being eternal.
So I'm making inferences from other lines of reasoning, not making inferences from, just general relativity. Like I'm actually inferring from proposed models of quantum gravity, like loop quantum gravity, for example, which is a potential resolution to the problem of, not being able to wind the clock back far enough.
Got you. So you're basically saying that your theory is it pertains to what we're talking about, but it's a workaround because it's in a different dimension or a different it's basically, you're basically doing the God thing, I feel like. It's in a different, I'm not believing in a higher plane of existence or something.
No, loop quantum gravity is just a normal 4-dimensional theory of physics. It's nothing. It's complicated, but it's not like a higher plane of it. It's like nothing weird like that.
Oh, because I was thinking you were one of those string theory.
No, I'm not referring to string theory.
Okay. So, because the thing is, we don't even understand how gravity works now. We don't even really know what gravity is.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, you know what gravity is? You should get it.
Yeah, it's the curvature of space-time. We've known what gravity is since 1915.
No, okay, we know. Okay, we don't. I don't know how to explain it, but basically, we still don't know what gravity is and how it fits to the models that we have, like how it fits into with the other forces.
Well, yeah, we don't have a quantum theory of gravity, but that doesn't mean that we don't know what gravity is. Gravity is the curvature of space-time.
That's a model. That's a model. We don't know for sure.
They're all models. They're all models. If you think you know what anything is, they're all models.
Right. Yeah, that's a model, and it's very accurate to a point, right? It's very accurate, but once you get into human scale or smaller,
at human scale, it's accurate too. It starts to fail at the order of it's only been tested to milligrams. That's the smallest that we've tested it at.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a model, and it's very accurate. It's kind of like Newtonian physics, where it's accurate at quote unquote normal scales, but then once you get into galaxies and black holes and stuff, then it starts to break down. So again, I would be careful when I say we know, when you say
we know what gravity is as well as we know what gravity is as well as we knew what electromagnetism was prior to 1950.
I'm not.
And we knew
familiar
what
with-
electromagnetism was prior to 1950. It was the stuff that makes electronics work. It was the stuff that makes light bulbs work. We knew what electromagnetism was. Just because we know it better now doesn't mean we didn't know what it was then.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that the Big Bang occurred or not?
Yeah.
Okay, and so where do you differ from mainstream science on that?
I don't.
Because you said it's not. You said something about the singularity, not
Yeah,
being
the
a thing.
singularity is not a mainstream view.
It's not, and
It hasn't
and
been a mainstream view since like the 80s.
Why am I only hearing this from you now?
Because you've probably just been reading pop science from people who learned about it in the 80s, is my guess.
I mean, I don't know. You're right about the pub science thing, but I feel like, when I hear about these scientists who say like, yeah, we've been able to wind the clock back to milliseconds or nanoseconds after the.
Yeah, we can do that. Doesn't say anything about a singularity though.
So what do you? Okay, so so do you have any kind of theory as to what the universe looked like? Right as soon as that Big Bang happened, or right?
I mean, I can speculate, but I haven't written any papers on the matter, so I'm not going to.
Okay, all right. Well, like I said, I feel like regardless of how you believe the universe, singularity or not, that's not really the big deal, in my opinion. The big deal is, do you believe in a God? And I think that I think you should believe in a God. I think that God is the answer to this whole the question of like infinite regress, because I think you have to deal with that.
Regress?
Well, I feel like you have to at some point you have to find something that has no cause, like it's an uncaused.
Let's say the universe has no cause. It's just always existed.
Right, but then there's more evidence pointing to the universe. Like I said, the universe, as well, you say as we know it, right? But the universe having some kind of cause, which is the Big Bang.
Well, yeah, but that's not the universe in its entirety. That's the universe as we know it, right?
Yeah, but then again, that's that's not the universe in its entirety. But you don't have any proof of anything. You haven't observed anything outside of it. So you're also speculating.
Okay, neither have you. So like, I mean.
Yeah, I'm not claiming. I'm not saying you're the one making the claim that there's a multiverse or whatever the case is. Like
I'm not making the claim that there's a multiverse.
Well, you believe that there's a universe that as we know it, and then there's a universe
prior to that is
prior to that.
It's possible that there's a universe prior to the universe as we know it. Yes.
Okay, so again, so you believe that there is some type of universe that we don't have access to because it's before our time.
I lean that way. Yeah.
You lean that way. So again, but you don't have any type of proof of that.
I gave you the reasons why I lean that way.
Yeah, but there's no observation. Like you haven't observed it.
Well, I can cite data that at least gives credence to this idea that the universe is in a cycle. That data came out in March or April of last year with the dark energy spectroscopy instrument.
With dark energy. So hold on, you believe in dark energy and dark matter?
And the telescope, or rather the device used to measure it, is called the dark energy spectroscopy instrument. That's just the name of the thing.
Okay, so it's a telescope that can.
I think it's. I don't think it's actually a telescope in its own right. But I think it's like the name of a team that uses. I should really know this because I read the paper, but I didn't actually look at what their actual instrument is. It's called the dark energy spectroscopic instrument. That's what the instrument is called.
It's some kind of device that.
So it's a so I guess it's a device that's attached to a telescope. So it uses, it uses the 4-meter Mayal telescope, which is a telescope in Kitt Peak National Observatory in Arizona.
Do you believe in dark energy and dark matter?
In a sense, but probably not in the sense that you think.
Can you
But
elaborate?
why is this relevant?
No, because you're citing something, and it's like
It's just the name of the name of the thing is the dark energy spectroscopic instrument. Like that's just the name of the collaboration. That it has nothing like they were measuring like the expansion of the universe and like how far away galaxies are and stuff like that. That's what they were doing. It's just the name of the instrument.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like they were using dark energy to prove something.
No.
Like okay. But yeah, so going back to what I was trying to say, like I think that okay, the universe is a cause, is a caused cause, right? So it has
Well,
it has to have
this
something.
current phase of the universe, sure.
This current phase, which is the only phase that we know and the only phase that we can observe directly, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so we agree on that. Now,
well, I mean, so I should clarify. It's the only one that
okay.
we know now, and the only one that we can observe directly now. There's no reason to think that like it's like forever unobservable, right? Like maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. We don't know.
Okay, and then maybe God will also come down from the heavens and reveal Himself in 100 years from now. I mean, I think it's just.
Maybe. My point is that we have a pretty good track record of like scientifically investigating further past horizons beyond which we thought we could never pass. So like this would just not be unexpected if we did collect new data, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, new data is great and all, but I don't think it's possible to go before the existence of time. Like I don't think we can observe.
Who said that time began then?
So okay, so you don't believe that time began at the Big Bang?
No.
You said space-time, the space-time continuum or something like that before.
Yeah, I said the universe as a whole, like the whole space-time continuum, whatever that might be, could have very well predated the Big Bang. The Big Bang could have just been an event that took place at a particular time in the space-time continuum.
Okay. All right. So, okay, that aside, I don't think it's possible that we're going to be able to observe something before the universe as we know it, as you say, right, was created.
Why not?
I think we can get closer and closer and closer, but I don't think we're ever going to cross that line. It just doesn't.
What reason do you have for thinking that? What
reason do I have? It's like trying to. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like trying to see something before you developed eyesight, kind of thing. I just don't think it makes any. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how are you going to view something?
Let me give you an example. So up until, I don't know, probably like the early 2000s, we thought we would never be able to get direct observational data about the universe prior to around 380,000 years after the Big Bang, right? But now there's good reason to think, and we haven't done it yet, but instruments are being built to do it, that we could actually get views from just about a second after the Big Bang using neutrinos rather than using electromagnetic radiation. And there's other instruments where you could even get gravitational wave data from perhaps even prior to the Big Bang, depending on how sensitive your instruments are, if such a thing exists. So like this is not like this is a serious area of scientific investigation. People aren't just like speculating wildly. Like there's actual there are actual attempts to make these observations and good reason to think that it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can get closer and closer. I think we can get definitely better and better measurements that are closer to the beginning, right? But I think it's kind of like an asymptote. Like you're never going to get to that point because it's just we're limited. We're constrained by the universe itself because we're part of the universe. So we're it's just something that I believe it's intrinsically just not going to work.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that you should be an agnostic. Because you just can't know if it had a beginning or not.
No, I do believe it had a beginning. I do believe.
But why do you believe that?
I just, like I said, I think all evidence points to some type of beginning. Whether you look at the expansion, whether you look at
but the evidence
entropy,
is
whether
like
you look
40 years out of date. Like that's not like a mainstream position anymore.
I don't know if that's true. I might have to look at what the consensus is now, because you're telling me
there isn't a consensus. There just isn't one.
No, you're saying, because I always thought the consensus was that there was a singularity, and you're telling me that
that hasn't been the consensus for like 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. You're telling me that this is 40 years out of date, so maybe I have to go back and hit the books. But regardless, I think that we can get better measurements, but I think we're constrained. I just think we're constrained by.
So then it sounds like you should be an agnostic, because you can never figure it out one way or the other.
No, I mean, I think whether we figure it out or not is irrelevant to the question. I think at the end of the day, something had to have caused. If we just say, let's just assume, take that the universe had a beginning or whatever. If the universe, if the Big Bang was an event as part of a greater scheme or whatever you want to call it, then whatever that greater thing is had a beginning. Whether it was the Big Bang or something else. I just think that there had to have been some kind of final thing. Like if you go back enough, there had to be some type of starting point. So
but like why? Oh boy, did my connection just kick out?
No, I can see you.
Okay. So but like it just seems like this is like a thing that like just feels right to you, but I don't know why you believe it, like how you came to this position.
Well, everything we know had a start, Like,
can you
like
give me
an
example? Like so I agree that like composite objects weren't always composite. Like the chair I'm sitting in didn't always exist. But like if I ask you when the electrons that make up your hand began to exist, will you have an answer?
I mean, of course, those electrons have existed probably since the beginning of the universe.
Unless the universe has always existed, in which case they might have always existed.
I could be wrong.
My point is like
the electrons. I don't know how
stuff is made of things that seems to have always existed. At least as long as the universe has.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say like everything is just a rearranged, like soup. Like everything is just electrons being rearranged, and but at the end of the day, I just think that, it just okay. If you look at, for example, entropy, doesn't that show that the universe had to have had a beginning? Because if we say that there was infinite time between this point and going back, then there would be it would be infinite entropy behind us, and it wouldn't really make sense for you and I to be here. Oh, your mic cut out. We can't hear your mic.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to ask this in a way, so don't take this the wrong way, but do you think I haven't thought of that?
No, I definitely think you have.
Okay, so there are lots of answers to the entropy problem. The first is that the entropy of the universe might not be a well-defined notion. It might just be infinite, in which case it can always be increasing and still have an eternal past. On the other hand, it could be the case that you have there's something called a finite Hilbert space and a cyclic universe, in which case the entropy doesn't monotonically increase, i.e. the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the universe if it's a cyclic universe. There's like a whole lot of ways that you can have an eternal universe while also maintaining a useful notion of entropy.
But you see how everything you're saying is might, could have, may have.
I'm just being humble, that's all.
I know, and I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like your mights and coulds are just as much faith as someone who just says, "Hey, look, man, God, the universe had a creator, multiverse, whatever you believe in. There was a creator, and whether you believe that this creator enabled there to be cycles or not cycles, infinite entropy or not infinite entropy. At the end of the day, it's all because of this God. It's not something that just happened autonomously. It's not something that just happened by itself.
So let's think about like what. So you believe that this God did it. Why did it do it? What was the cause for its creative action?
That would okay. So you're asking me as a humble human to figure out what were God's motives for creating the universe.
What was the cause, right?
What do you mean cause?
What was the cause of the creative action?
Like you're talking about like the physical cause
or metaphysical cause or whatever cause, because if you think that everything has a cause, then like the creative action has to have a cause, right?
I just think the God, I don't know, like it could be through metaphysical, it could be through physical. I'm not sure what the cause was, but I believe that this God, this creator, however you want to refer to it, is the reason why everything is here, is the reason why everything exists. I don't know. I don't know if you were asking about like that, or you were asking about the motives, like why he chose to do it.
I'm asking. So like when I get up in the morning and I have to decide between cereal or yogurt, the cause for my choice of either cereal or yogurt is maybe, you know, I have cereal but I don't have milk, so I choose yogurt instead. And so that would be the cause of me choosing yogurt, right? So I'm asking, what's the cause for this creative action that God takes?
I don't think we can fully grasp it, because we're talking about a being that is so much like I can't even describe to you how much, you know, wiser, smarter, knowledgeable, you know. It's just this creator is. It's like we're nothing. It's like so, trying to explain, you know, something to an ant, or, you know.
But I'm confused, because, like, why can't I just say, yeah, we don't know how the universe got here. We don't understand it. It's too complicated for us.
Yeah, you could, and I agree with you. If you were to say that and just say that at face value, absolutely, I would agree with you. But I would add to that, well, yeah, however way that this universe was created, like, it was God that ultimately did it. You know,
but
like,
why would you think that? It's too complicated for us to know.
It's too complicated for us to know the exact, like, mechanisms by which things happen. You know, like, for example, if we, like, let's look at chemistry, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at like the chemistry of the human body with cells and DNA and everything else, it's all very, very complicated, and all the all the processes, like the metabolism, the immune system, everything, it's really complicated. But we're just now starting to, the last, you know, 100 years or so, starting to understand all of this, right?
Sure.
And you can say the same thing about the universe. Like this creator set the laws in motion, however which way we end up discovering, whether it was through a cyclical thing, whether it was non-cyclical, whether it was through, you know, quantum gravity or quantum strings, or whatever the case is. Like, at the end of the day, that's just the method by which he chose to do it. We're just trying to figure out, we're trying to solve the puzzle, basically.
Right, but it seems like all you're doing is you're just passing the buck back, where you start saying, I don't know. Because if I just say, I don't know how the universe got here, that seems more, I'm making fewer assumptions than you when you say, the universe got here because of God, but I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I am passing the buck. That's exactly what I'm doing.
So
what
then
I'm saying
why,
is,
like, it seems like because we don't have any evidence for God, right? We may as well just be completely agnostic about where the universe came here and not even hold that position at all.
No, it's like this is how I see it. For example, say something like a huge discovery comes out, like say we were alive when Watson and Crick what was her name? Rose, what was her name? I forget. Anyway, when they discovered DNA and how DNA works, what I would say, an atheist would say, wow, like, the universe is amazing, and it's, you know, it's amazing how humans were able to figure this stuff out.
Rosalind Franklin, right?
Rosalind,
that was
yes.
her name?
Rosalind, okay. Yes. I forgot. It was on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, so and it sucks because I think she was the one that actually did most of the work. But anyway, so what I would say, which would be slightly different than what the atheist would say, is, wow, it's amazing how the universe works, and it's amazing how humans were able to figure this all out. God really, you know, God is really great, honestly. Like, the way he designed this whole thing, I just view it as like a giant puzzle that we're just in. And, like, however, you know, I'm not the type of person, the type of theist that just says God did it. Like, and I don't believe in science. I don't believe in this. No, I believe in science. I do think science is the way which we understand God's, you know, creation, both ourselves and the universe around us. That's what I believe.
But, like, look, we both agree that the universe exists, right? That there is,
yes,
like, a real world that exists outside of our senses. So, and we both agree that we have no data that tells us about where the universe came from. Zero data whatsoever.
I mean, sure, I guess. I mean,
so then why not just stop the buck there and say, well, we don't know where it came from, so I will just be agnostic about where it came from.
Because whether we know, okay, we didn't know, for example, how germs or disease spread, right? Like, then we do, right? So I don't think us knowing or not knowing makes a difference. I still think whether we lived in an age where we didn't know, or we live in today where we do know, I don't think it makes a difference as to the God question. I still think God is the one who's behind all of it in terms of like how everything works.
This is actually a really good analogy. So let's say that you're living in like the 1700s before germs were discovered, or maybe the 1600s, whenever that was.
Yeah.
And you're living there, you know, somebody gets sick, and then somebody comes up to you and says, it was a witch. A witch made your mother sick.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other nerdy type comes up and says, no, it was tiny creatures living on your skin that made your mother sick.
Okay.
Which one would you believe and why?
Okay, well, obviously, knowing what I know now, it's a little
not
different.
knowing what you know now. What would be the rational thing to believe?
Yeah, I mean, back then, I would probably have gone with the witch, to be honest with you. But I don't believe...
What would be the rational thing to believe?
The rational thing would probably be to believe in the nerd.
Why? They didn't present any evidence.
Well, neither did the witch. The witch is just claiming...
Yeah, so what is the rational position to hold?
Well, the rational, okay, if it's not of those two, then it would be a third position, which is like I'm not really quite sure who to believe. That would be the rational person.
Right. That would be the rational thing to do, because neither of them are giving you good reason to trust them, to believe them. They're not giving you evidence. And so what I'm saying is why doesn't that apply now? If we don't have any evidence about where the universe came from, one way or the other, why not just say I don't know, and leave it at that?
I think your analogy is not one-to-one. It's basically you're trying to use the witch in place of God, but I don't.
No, the witch is in place of atheism. I got you.
Oh, okay. I don't know which one you were trying to. Well, either way.
My point is, I was giving you two positions that they didn't have any evidence for in either direction.
Well, I'm still okay. Maybe I'm just slow. I don't understand how the witch is in place of.
It's not standing in for anything. It's just two different positions that we don't have any evidence for. And so the analogy here is that in the 1600s or whatever, you're presented with two different positions, neither of which give you any evidence. And today, and that's about, you know, disease. Today, we're presented with two different positions, either the universe having always existed and not being caused by some divine being, or actually, let's just say the universe not being caused by a divine being and the universe being caused by a divine being. Neither of those positions have any like concrete data-driven evidence. So we should just do the same thing that we would do in the case of the disease case 400 years ago, which is just be agnostic.
Well, why can't we just... Okay, well, then my position would be, why can't we just say, we don't know how the mom got sick, but, you know, we have to figure out like how God basically, you know, laid this all out for us. Like we have to discover.
Because that's assuming God's real to begin with.
Yeah, and I think that God is real. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. I'm asking you why you're not agnostic.
Why? Okay. Well, I think because of Pascal's wager. I think it's because of.
Wait. So are you a Christian?
No, I'm not. I'm not a Christian.
Do you think that Jesus rose from the dead?
I don't know. I think Jesus existed. I know some people don't think he existed. I do think Jesus did exist. I don't know if he was. I don't know. I don't think I believe he was God though.
Okay. Question about Pascal's wager, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, if the God that you believe in exists and punishes you for not believing in him, then sure, I would go to hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if the God Atheismo exists, and Atheismo only sends atheists to heaven?
Okay. So a God that only sends people who don't believe in him.
Yep. Who don't believe in any God.
Mm-hmm.
So should we therefore not believe in any God so that we have a chance to go to Atheismo heaven?
That's a good question. I've never heard that one before. I mean, I feel like Atheismo would still be. I mean, it would be. I mean, I think you would still have to believe in him, even if you didn't.
No. If you believe in him, then you go to hell.
No, but like, if you don't believe in him, like, are you talking about knowingly not believing in him, or just passively just not even knowing about him?
Just like he only sends atheists to heaven. So whatever you think an atheist is.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, I feel like that is because if you know about this atheismo, and you want to get to heaven, what would you would say? What would you say?
You have to convince yourself that he's not real.
I don't think that would be rational. I don't know.
Or you can just understand that, yeah, he probably doesn't exist. That's absurd. But what if he does? Well, then I'm going to heaven.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in your case, in that case, I would probably go to heaven.
Oh, and by the way, he sends everybody who's not an atheist to like mega hell, and it's really bad.
I don't know. I feel like there's some type of fallacy here. I don't know what it is. I'm probably later on tonight when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm gonna be like, damn, like that's, it's one of those things. But I just don't think that that's an accurate example or like an analogy, because an atheism.
Well, I mean, look, is that God possible?
Is that God possible?
Is it like conceivable that such a God could exist?
Yeah, it's conceivable, sure.
So then there's not really an issue. Like, it could just be the case that the God that created the universe also really likes atheists and hates theists.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean,
and therefore it would be rational to just not believe. Even in the face of evidence, it would be rational to not believe it.
I don't know, man. Honestly, if this God exists, then and he wants you to not believe in him, but then you would have to like, say you wanted to get to heaven, you would have to know about him existing and then convince yourself that he doesn't exist. It just doesn't seem like, it just seems like a paradox type of thing.
No, you would just have to know that other people think he exists, but you're not convinced by it.
No, but eventually you have to know that the way to get to heaven is to not believe in him, to be an anti-theist, or to be to basically, it's like me saying, if I want to be...
Well, no, you're just an atheist just because you just happen to go to heaven later if he's real.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't know. Okay, so then the only way to really get to heaven would be
to be an atheist.
But to be passively one, like to not even know that he exists, like, because you just happen to be.
I mean, you might know. Like, look, I know about Christianity, but that doesn't mean that like I can know about Christianity while also not believing it. I could know about atheism while also not believing it. Yeah,
but you're not trying to go to Christian heaven, though. You don't have the, like, if you were trying
I'm not trying to go to anybody's heaven, because I don't think any gods exist.
Exactly, but I'm saying, like, say you truly
did... But if one of them does, if I'm wrong, well, then I'm going to atheismo heaven.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you believe that atheismo exists, and that's...
I don't.
Well, okay, well, are you trying to go to atheismo heaven? No?
No.
I don't know. I feel like...
I don't believe in atheismo.
I don't know. I just feel like that example is just a paradox. It just doesn't really make...
So what if it's the case that atheismo is just too complex for human minds to comprehend?
That's a good question. Yeah, you're right. He could just be, working in mysterious ways. No, I don't know. I'll give you credit. That was the first new thing I've heard.
All right. Well, I'm glad. Well, wait a minute. That's not true. This is me telling you that the singularity is not mainstream scientific consensus was also new for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, in terms of like the religion debate, not the science debate. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'll pass the torch to someone, maybe a different, more qualified person. But
you seem just qualified just fine. But thanks for being here, Reach.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube or on TikTok, make sure to like the live stream, or if you're watching later, like the video. It really helps us get out to more people, and we can get more engagement, which is great. Also, if you're on TikTok or on YouTube, subscribe, click the follow button, all of these lovely things. These are all great things that you should do. All right, let's bring up our next guest. Do we actually have a guest on YouTube? We do have a guest from YouTube. Let me just check to make sure that he's here. Senior Solo, how's it going? Can you hear me? Senior Solo, can you hear me? Yeah, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, there is a link in the description that you can join. And I alternate between YouTube and TikTok for guests. But it seems like this guest is long. Well, it was only 3 minutes ago. So if you're here, Senior Solo, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to hang up on you. All right. I guess we'll take another guest from TikTok. In the meantime, if you want to support me, there's like Cash App links and all of these links and all of these places that you can click on. And if you click on them, then you can give me money if you want. You don't have to, but, you know, that's an option. Oh, by the way, there was a $10 super chat from a while ago that I missed from Flanker420. Atheists, observations and conclusions of centuries of science. Theists, yeah, but my book says a thing. What discovery has come about from pursuing religion that benefited our understanding? So, to be fair, most scientists of old were Christians, at least like in the Enlightenment age. But I have a feeling that they kind of did their, well, yeah, it really depends. Like some of them, they thought that they were discovering the mind of God, and, you know, that we have to give credit to their belief for that, because they wouldn't have investigated the universe if they didn't have that belief. That doesn't mean that we can't do things without it today. Marduk,
hello?
$3, thank you. $3 super chat.
I wasn't expecting.
Here you are.
What's up?
All right, Beetle Glint, what you got for me?
So like, do you presume any like metaphysical, like ontological status, like materialism or anything of that nature?
The closest thing that you could probably find would be something like physicalism.
Physicalism, and isn't that just materialism? Like, you think consciousness came from like atoms, and we like were evolutionary, like
it's that all things. Physicalism is something like all things in the universe are describable via physical mechanisms, or all things in reality are describable via physical mechanisms, something like that.
Would you say that consciousness is in reality?
Yeah, sure.
How would you explain consciousness using physical?
I wouldn't. I'm not a neurologist. I'm not a neuroscientist, and I don't purport to understand consciousness well enough to give an explanation.
Well, in the philosophy of mind outlook, there's two problems. One with physicalism, and one with the duality, or what's it called? Dualism. And so the materialism, it's kind of like, well, you never really, there's like an output of, no matter how many atoms you put together in a single way, you're never going to be able to output a consciousness, like a qualia. Well, we just never found out how to do it.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible, right?
Well, exactly, but there's no evidence for it. There's no evidence against
right.
it.
Right. I'm pretty agnostic. I'm pretty agnostic about this, because I just don't understand it well enough. It's not my field of study.
Okay. Well, like we've done evidence of it. I mean, neurologists have been trying to do evidence of this for like, I don't know, over 100 years, and we still haven't been able to exhibit
neurology as a science. Neurology as like a proper science, by the way, is like maybe 70 years old.
Yeah, that's why I said like 100 years.
No, not even. Like we haven't even been able to do brain scans until like the last 40 years, right?
Yeah, but so I'm saying it's a categorical difference. Like there's no atoms that you could put in a certain way to make a consciousness.
Well, but that's a claim. I don't know. How do we know that that's true?
Because we tried it. I mean,
what do you mean we tried it? We've never tried making a brain. What?
You don't think we ever tried to replicate a conscious experience?
Not with a brain. We can't make brains. We've never tried to make a brain. We don't have the equipment to do so.
I don't think we have the capability of understanding a certain qualia. Like we can never. You could look at my brain state, and you could look at the waves, and you can never see red. Like if I'm thinking red, you see waves on the screen, but you can never see red. You can never see my qualia. Okay. And this is like the categorical difference between the two. And so, well, the dualists, they have to explain, and again, these are like presumptions or presuppositions that like it seems that you can't explain away, and so you would just like.
Well, I'm agnostic about mind. Like, I lean towards like some sort of functionalism, I guess, because that was compelling when I read a philosophy of mind book. But like, I'm agnostic about it. Like, if somebody comes up with a better theory that's like dualist or something like that, or even idealist, like, okay.
Right, but I'm saying
I don't think anybody has answers about this. So,
well, the problem is that if certain philosophy of minds are true, then it would make like a view of the universe more plausible. Because if materialism is true, or dualism is true, and you can't make some sort of physical property to end up making a consciousness, and these are two separate entities, but they could like interact with each other in a certain way, then it would seem that materialism is way less plausible.
Well,
to be
yeah,
true
if you're a dualist, then you're not a materialist. So, like, yeah, if dualism is true, then materialism is not true. Okay, that's like
I wouldn't say
obviously
that's
the case.
necessarily the case.
No, materialism is like dualism
Yeah,
is
no,
a
you're right,
category.
yeah.
It's an ontological view that is distinct from materialism. So if one of them's true, the other one's false.
Okay, and so under this dualism view, I would say that not metaphysical laws, psychological properties like, you know, comparing or evolutionary processes like what's it called, the harmony of like brain waves and evolutionary biology for like hurt qualia or what's it called? Yeah, for this to be like evolutionarily bad, like
Sorry, repeat
suffering
that?
qualia wise.
Of,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm fucking stupid. Like it's hard to think sometimes.
But
But
fine.
it's like damn it. I read a psychological paper on this. It was a dualism, but it's a psychophysical harmony argument. Psychophysical. But obviously, it presumes certain ontological predispositions like dualism. But it gives an argument for it. But I'll read out some arguments right now, and this kind of made me feel like there could be a God. I don't think there's like I don't like the a lot of arguments for God. I don't like the transcendental argument. I don't like the cosmological argument. I don't like the I don't like a lot of arguments for God, and I'm more like Gnostic. I would feel like there's like not like an omnibenevolent, omnipotent God. There's probably just like a Gnostic God that made the universe and just left it in whatever state it's in. But yeah, what do you think about Gnosticism? Do you think like it's radically
do you mean like the Gnosticism from like 2,000 years ago with like, you know, you have the demiurge and all this stuff, or
so like a sort of Gnostic God of modern days is like God made the universe, left it in whatever state it is.
Well, that's like theism, right?
Okay, maybe I'm wrong, because maybe Gnosticism is just an evil god.
Gnosticism isn't necessarily an evil god, but it's like distinct from deism. Yeah, also,
Okay,
I don't know
theism.
why. I don't know what you did, but your mic just got really good for some unexplained reason.
I think I took my AirPod out and
that made it a lot better.
okay, yeah. So under like a deism god, do you think this is like a plausible outcome of like
I don't know. Like, I don't give it high credence, but like I'm not gonna say that it's like categorically proven false.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess under materialism, under what like
again, I'm not a materialist. I'm like a physicalist.
Physicalist. Well, what's the distinction? I don't know.
Well, materialists think that the only things that exist is matter, but I'm not willing to go that far. Like, there could be other things besides like matter, and like there could be fields or there could be wave functions or whatever, but they're still describable by physical laws.
Okay, so everything is describable by physical laws.
Mm-hmm.
All right, under this like physicalist output, would it and then looking at the universe, what would that better explain the action of how our universe came to be, or under a sort of God that finds value in things like consciousness? Which one would you think that would
when I look out at the universe? Well,
yeah, so, like if you're using like abductive reasoning, and you see the outputs, and then which one could better explain like the development of consciousness?
Oh, could explain. Well, I don't think that any view can explain the development of consciousness as it stands.
Well, metaphysical view.
I don't think that any metaphysical view has an explanation.
And no, not the explanation for like how it came to be, or like the processes that go in between, or like neurological processes, or like even how it was made, but like which view would you come to expect it? Because it seems like under a physical...
I think that we understand consciousness so poorly that we wouldn't expect it under any view, or that we wouldn't know when to expect it given any view.
Well, under a God view, wouldn't you come to expect it because they find value in consciousness?
Well, so yeah, I suppose that you could define a God that only cares about universes that are identical to ours, and then yeah, by definition, that God under the data that we have, that God would be expected. But that's just because you've defined that God so that it matches our observations. You're not really proposing something that's like, you know,
Exactly. I'd have to
it's not
explain why.
you're not really proposing something that's like parsimonious, like theoretically virtuous or anything. It's like a just so story, if you will.
Well, aren't you doing the same under physicalism, because you're just looking at the physical universe and then presuming it? I'm just looking at the output and then I guess teleologically making like a metaphysical.
So not quite, because physicalism in some sort of metaphysical sense makes predictions, namely that we will continue to find more things that were not previously describable by physical laws that are now describable by physical laws. That is like a prediction of physicalism, right? That there are things that we don't understand now that we cannot describe with physical laws that will inevitably be describable by physical laws. And in the past, that view has held up, right? That prediction has come true.
Couldn't that be the same under a deistic God? If a deistic God made a universe using some physicalist properties, couldn't you find the same? Couldn't you expect the same things?
Sure. But then you're just taking the physicalist God, or you're just taking the physicalist worldview, and then just slapping a God on top of it, which makes it less parsimonious, right?
When you say parsimonious, what is that?
Less theoretically simple. Parsimonious is like is a system or a set of assumptions, or a smaller set of assumptions.
Okay. Well, I think it would actually cause to least or less assumptions, because it leads to more things to be expected in under the physicalist world, particularly consciousness.
Well,
I guess
if it were true that God valued consciousness, we would expect to see more of it. In fact, given the universe that we see, it seems like the universe is very much built to not have consciousness in it, and consciousness only exists in spite of that, seemingly.
Well, couldn't you just say that, okay, under this physicalist worldview where he made it under, for one, there's like a little bit of unfalsifiableness of it, like, is there consciousness like, billions and billions of galaxies away? Well, we don't know how big is our universe, and how big of the scope do we know of our universe, and whether these things are conscious or not. I think there's like an air of unfalsifiableness of it. But even if I were to say like this, what you said was true, if I were to presume that, then I would just say that couldn't it be expected that there would be more consciousness later? Like, of course, if we're already explaining a deistic God that uses physical properties, then he's using evolution, and eventually we might be able to take over. Like,
why does he need to use evolution?
I never said he needs to use evolution, but even a deistic God, like, he doesn't have to be all powerful. He could be, or not he. They could be restricted by certain metaphysical laws.
It seems like your God is pretty fine-tuned.
My God is fine-tuned?
Yeah, as in it prefers precisely this amount of consciousness forming in this precise way. When it could have had consciousness, there could have been electrons in love, as the essay goes, or there could have been consciousness on every single body big enough to gravitationally attract itself to form a sphere. Like it seems like the God that you're building to try to match the observations of physicalism and the observations that we make is fine-tuned so that consciousness is rare, but not so rare that it never happened, and it's slow, but not so slow that it's happened by now. Like, it's just it's like, given if we just start from the bare assumption,
that way, shouldn't you make a being to where you would come to expect the outcomes? Isn't that what you're doing under physicalism? You're like, okay, well,
physicalism makes predictions, right? Like the bare bones ontology of physicalism has existed unchanged for 100 years, and all of its predictions have come true, right?
Well, you're saying you're making that distinction, but I'm saying that distinction makes zero sense, because you're taking the property set or the observations of our world, and then you're slapping a prediction or metaphysical predictions on it, and then you're using those predictions to better explain the world. And I'm saying you could do that exact same thing by adding this element of a God, and it could actually go and explain more things that we come and find.
Right, but in order for it to have that explanatory power, you have to fine-tune it. There's no like kind of Occam's razor-esque theory of a God that prefers consciousness that ends up with the universe that we currently live in, right? If you have a God that prefers consciousness, then we would expect way more consciousness. And if you have a God that prefers, that wants things to be physically developed, then we would expect things to physically develop faster if it also liked consciousness.
So,
like the point
the
is
consciousness
that
part,
there's a
it would seem that it's
there's a huge array of ways that it could have been to more prefer consciousness or to have more consciousness in the world, but we hardly see any.
I understand your argument. So like, it would seem like it would be antithetical to the physical law of property of that God is abiding by. For one, like it could just be the case that after a cohort here of like a millennium, there's going to be like a bunch of consciousness, whatever. I understand that, like, okay, well, wouldn't you expect to see more consciousness? It's just like an arbitrary threshold argument. It's like, yeah, maybe, but like, maybe it's just a physicalist. And then, you end up making more. I mean, I'm not entirely like sold on it. But I think that in the psychological harmony argument where I think it was like, okay, so I wouldn't say that God is necessary under a dualism view, but assuming a dualism view, right? So like automatically you get it more plausible that God doesn't exist, but like assuming a dualism view, if you have like qualia that like lead to bad experience, which would make you like avoid behavior, and that qualia of bad experience is linked in the physical state to where it harms your body, I don't think you would come to expect this under like a view of no God. Like you would come to expect this under like, yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that like bacteria have qualia?
Qualia? No. I think they just have evolutionary biology.
They have avoidant behaviors. A stimuli happens and then they avoid that thing. That it just seems like that's qualia, but qualia is just a more sophisticated version of that.
Right. So, well, actually, I don't know. I don't think that consciousness is just a more sophisticated version of evolutionary biology. It just seems like that's radically not the case to me. Because my body could do like certain things, like, and we could observe that, okay, that hurt, and my body is literally reacting not to touch that within my like circulatory or nervous system. And then that like rings a bad qualia or like suffering in my brain state. And so, yeah, it would seem that these two things wouldn't necessarily have to be connected. And under a God state, you would probably like, you would better come to explain that.
So I mean, maybe under dualism, you would better explain that. You like some sort of mental substance and some sort of physical substance or something, but I don't see why you need God for that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying you need God for that. I'm saying it would be more plausible that there would be a God, assuming
why?
Again, assuming dualism. Because he values consciousness. He wants consciousness to live under like a sort of materialist view or something like this. They don't there's no reason you would come to expect some sort of harmony within your avoidance behavior and the suffering.
So couldn't you just have a view of like a version of dualism where there's like some what's it called, like it's like that's actually not even well, it's sort of dualism, but not really. It's like teleological materialism or something, I think is what it's called. There's like a word for it. But essentially that the universe has this property of, arranging itself in such a way that good things happen and bad things don't happen or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you could have that view. I just think that dualism is more plausible than materialism. Which is,
I mean, maybe that's true, but I don't think that anybody knows anything about consciousness to begin with. So I don't even know if like there's any reason to think that dualism is more plausible.
Well, like we could think of what it's not. Like okay, so like I could make a script, and then you ever heard of like the philosophical zombie?
Mm-hmm.
Like through induction, I could presume that someone is consciousness just because they have like a sophisticated output that I see through input. And I could think that this person is consciousness is not Just like I could think like an AI is consciousness or is conscious or not.
Why do you think that I'm conscious?
Through induction, sure. That's absolutely the case. Through induction.
But do you have any better reason to think that I'm conscious than like a super advanced AI?
Observation.
What's the difference? What's the difference in observation?
Well, I observe through myself, through experience. Like, this is also why we take reason to be true. This is also why we take a whole plethora
wait, so but why distinguish between me and the AI?
Well, I'll get to it. So like the observation. Okay. So well, first I guess we have to start at ground zero. Why do we take like any axiomatic beliefs to be true? I guess we have to start there.
I mean, like I have certain axiomatic beliefs that I just think I can't not believe. So
like what?
That the universe exists, that my senses are fairly reliable, that induction works.
Well, why do you
sometimes.
have to believe that your senses are reliable?
I think that that's probably hard-coded into my brain.
Well, like, there's people that believe not, right? There's people that don't believe.
I don't know. Are there people who think that their senses aren't reliable? If there were, then there wouldn't be people who observe that, and in order to well, if in order for you to observe that, you'd actually have to presume it. So it seems like you're explaining it in a way, and then you're not presuming it. In order to observe what, I would have to presume it.
Yep. Well, aren't you observing other people not being able to distinguish certain what's it called?
No, that's not how I'm getting to my axiomatic belief that like my senses are fairly reliable.
Oh, is it not through observation?
No.
What? What is it?
No, it's axiomatic. It's not justified. It's just something that I believe, and I can't not believe it.
Yes, I agree it's something you believe, but to say that you can't not believe it, there's people who don't believe it. Is that
I don't know if that's true.
Is it contradictory?
I can't not believe it. Maybe other people
Is it contradictory? How do you know that you can't not believe it? Isn't that also
because I've tried and it doesn't work.
That's just a form of induction. I tried to do it dunk. Does that mean that I can't do it? No, it's not necessarily
I also
the case.
accept induction.
If you accept induction, then that means that you have to accept not being or at least you have to accept that it's not necessary that you can't do it. That's just not necessary.
Well, no. The point of accepting induction is that I have good reason to believe that I can't do it if I haven't been able to do it in the past.
Yeah, exactly. You have good reason to believe that you can't do it, but you wouldn't use induction to say that it's necessarily the case.
I never said it's necessarily the case.
All the hard parts. Huh?
I never said it's necessarily the case.
Well, you said you can't do it.
Well, yeah, it seems like I can't.
It seems like you can't, but okay. Yep. How many times have you tried to say that? Okay, let me
do it right now.
I agree. You can't
I can't even do it. I can't do it.
Listen, I agree. You can't flip a switch and like, okay, now I believe a certain things, but I'm just trying to show. I'm literally just trying to show why it's not necessarily the case that you can't do this.
I never said it's necessarily the case. I just said that I can. Okay. That it doesn't seem like I can. Like I don't know what your point. Like these are axioms that I believe, and why I believe them, I don't know. It seems like I can't not believe them.
Okay, you're saying why you believe them. It seems like you can't not believe them.
Okay, so I'm giving you a plausible explanation as to why I believe them. I do believe them,
and you're not.
Maybe this is a reason why I believe them.
Okay, I'm just trying to set a criteria for why we should believe certain axiomatic beliefs, because I agree we shouldn't just axiomatically believe anything, right? Through experience and observation, I shouldn't just axiomatically believe a God just because I axiomatically believe it, right? Or I feel like I can't not believe it. So it kind of feels like that's not a good criteria.
Well, yeah, but we have to accept some axioms, and axioms by definition are not justified. So
I agree. I mean, there's certain axioms that could be self-justifiable.
I don't think that
like
even makes
the laws
sense.
of logic would be self-justifiable.
I don't think that they're. No, I don't think that they are.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess.
I mean, like just by definition of what an axiom is, they can't self-justify, right?
Well, like there's certain axioms by first principles where people would say that they are self-justifiable, like reason and the law of non-contradiction.
You can reject the law of non-contradiction, by the way.
I agree you could, but people would say that.
So then it's not self-justifying, right?
Okay, I mean,
like by definition, an axiom can't justify itself. An axiom is something that's assumed without justification.
I mean, of course, I believe that, but I mean, I read some shit where they said differently, but whatever. Yeah, I agree. So, all right. So how do we justify our axioms? Well, it seems like we can't. We just have to use inference rules or induction to believe in it. And then we have to use the induction to assume that I'm actually seeing things and that what I'm seeing is true or like ontologically true outside of my perspective. And then that'd be induced and using induction to justify my observation. And then I'd use the observation to justify other inductions, right?
Right. So you have good inductive reason to believe that actually, you don't even have really good inductive reason, but I'll at least let this slide that you have some degree of reason to believe that I have consciousness because from your point of view, you have some sort of consciousness and qualia, and I'm like you, so that gives you some level of justification. But to then go on to say that you can therefore say that a super advanced AI doesn't have qualia, doesn't have consciousness, I don't know how you get to that conclusion at all.
Well, okay, yeah, I'll get there. Okay, so I mean, I guess you could like try and define what consciousness is, even though it's like super hard.
I think you will fail if you try to do that.
So I wouldn't be able to do that. I think one of my friends can, but so I look at the properties in myself, and then I'm like, okay, I see myself, I see this person. We seem to be cogently able to think of things, able to do these things. All right, let's see how to do this. All right, using induction. So it seems like there's big distinctions with differences between me and an LLM and you and an LLM, and it doesn't seem like in regards of consciousness there's a big inference difference between, or big distinction between me and you. Okay, can we get that out of the way first? It seems like
we are different from LLMs, although I would say that we might be less different from LLMs than you think.
Okay, so now I could write a script that talks exactly like a human using metadata, right? And that could give you a certain output that looks exactly like a human, philosophical zombie, whatever. And I could even make like synthetic skin that looks like a human. We would both say that this is like an example of a philosophical zombie where they actually don't exhibit a sort of consciousness or qualia. They're not feeling the same experience as me and you.
I don't know. I mean, the point is, I think that I think that there's probably a point where there's like some wiggle room here, right? Because if the human brain was like 1 billion times less complex, like if we only had like 1,000 neurons or whatever, then we could just go look at what each of those neurons are doing and map it in its entirety. And if we could find that we could predict the behavior of a human based off of what those neurons were doing, then we would have to reason that, like, well, if we have consciousness, but our behavior is entirely predictable from, like, chemistry, then consciousness just must not be very special. But human brains are way more complicated, so we can't predict what human brains are going to do from chemistry. So what I suspect is that, like, a simple script, like 100 lines or something like that, probably doesn't have consciousness in the same way that we do. If only because we can predict what it does.
But you think
I don't know, but there's wiggle room when you're talking about systems that are unpredictable.
Hold up, I can't believe that, because if I don't think it's a threshold between how many scripts I give this computer in metadata.
Do you think that animals have consciousness?
Yes.
Do you think that they have more, less, or the same amount of consciousness as we do?
Probably less.
So then
but like, it depends what you mean by consciousness. Like,
well, yeah, that's the whole question, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, we have reason to believe that. We could see that they suffer. We could see that they think. We could see that they have like.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. What is the gap between humans and super advanced LLMs? How does that gap differ between humans and mice?
Because we understand how LLMs work. We can literally write a script right now.
We understand. And give me so is it just because we don't understand how brains work?
What'd you say?
Is it just because we don't understand how brains work?
Yes, that's absolutely.
That brains are allowed to have consciousness, but LLMs aren't, because we don't understand how brains work, but we do understand how LLMs work?
Yes.
Is that the argument?
We all believe this, but we all believe this.
I don't know. I'm not convinced that like an LLM would have like a sufficiently advanced LLM would be like less conscious than us.
Okay, so you think that like one of the scripts that are writing up in Python right now will have like consciousness, just like on a much smaller scale?
Well, I don't know what kind of scripts you're writing, but like LLMs have like billions of nodes, right?
No. But just I know, but that's a threshold argument. Like
Yeah. I don't. So what I'm saying is like I think that consciousness is probably some sort of like gradient or gradation. I suspect that like, if I just write like a.
But it's a binary if you have it or not, right? And if you have it,
I don't
it's like
know
a
if that's true.
gradation of how much you
I
have.
don't know if that's true.
What you? How could?
It could be a gradation, right?
No. If you have the proposition that this thing has consciousness or not, that would either ring true or false. It wouldn't be a gradation of true or false.
Yeah, sure, but then we have to define what we mean by like minimal consciousness, right? Because that's the problem, right? Like, does a mouse have consciousness? Well, probably. You and I probably agree on that. Does like a tadpole have consciousness? Maybe. What about like a tardigrade? Maybe, probably not. So like that's the issue, right? What's like the minimal conscious model that we can come up with?
Mm-hmm. And then your guess is just that, okay, well, it's like a bunch of neurological processes.
I mean, at least that seems plausible,
like
because unless you think that like look, the way that we understand consciousness, like you and I agree that like a mice is has like less consciousness than we do, and it also seems to have like a less complicated brain. So it seems like the amount of consciousness that a thing has is directly in relation to how complicated its brain is.
Well,
right?
I mean, I guess I would just draw a couple conclusions, or say a couple things and see if you agree. So, like, I don't know, like I'm not exactly sure what consciousness is, but I'm not sure if it's the same thing as the brain, right? I kind of think that consciousness is like an observation. I kind of think the brain is something different.
But consciousness is definitely directly correlated with brain.
It's definitely able to react. It's definitely able to impose, and the brain is definitely able to impose on consciousness. Like, this is definitely what we see in even in.
Do you agree that like the more complicated the brain, the more sophisticated consciousness you can have, or like a thing can have?
Because you observe the brain. That's yes.
Sorry, I don't know what that means.
Because the consciousness is observing the thing that we call a brain. That's like literally what
I don't know what that means at all. I don't know what it means for a consciousness to observe a brain.
Well, I just think that consciousness is really just an observation. That's my definition of consciousness. It's like an observation tangentially, like
an observation. What's doing the observing, and what is being observed?
Consciousness, and what's being observed is the brain. And
how is it observing it? What is consciousness?
That's the hard part. Like, what do you mean?
Right. Okay. So let me give you some context here for why I'm so very skeptical of all of this, and it's because nobody has, like, you are just as lost as I am about this, right? Like,
well,
we have no idea.
Don't understand how consciousness works.
Completely nothing. We know nothing about any of this.
Yeah.
Like, you could never give me with today's technology, with today's knowledge, you could never justify why a mouse is conscious and why an LLM isn't. Like, there's no empirical justification that you could give.
Well, this is well, you could give like data to try and inductively induce like a situation or like come to an conclusion. Like, again, if you take the philosophical zombie to be true, like, you could have like a script that is so sophisticated to where it's like I wouldn't be able to make a distinction between him and like a regular person. If you take that proposition to be true, then you would have to make a difference between consciousness and how sophisticated an LLM is.
So then you couldn't say that even I'm not a philosophical zombie, or that perhaps a dolphin's not a philosophical zombie.
And that's why I'm using my induction. Well,
okay,
I look in history,
but your induction doesn't apply to dolphins, right?
I don't,
because you don't know what it's like to be a dolphin, so you can't. So you know what it's like to be a person, to be a human.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm a human, so even though I'm a different human, induction might get you part of the way there, at least a little bit. But it won't. You talk about dolphins. Dolphins are not humans. They're just not, like, at all.
Well, all you're saying is that all you're doing is making a bigger difference into where my inductive gaps, my epistemic gaps gets bigger.
And your induction is weak already,
and that's
because
fine,
you only have a case of one.
But that's categorically different from when I literally write up a script. And I would just say that this is even less probable than a dolphin, so much so that I would give no
Why?
moral justification to a 2-second script that I just pop up.
Okay, so I would give no moral consideration to a 2-second script in the same way I would give no moral consideration to a tardigrade. In that both of them are very, very simple, and likely if they have consciousness, it's very rudimentary. But I would give more consideration to something that is, you know, has more synapses, more like electronic synapses than humans do. I would give more moral consideration to that than I would to, like, I don't know, a tadpole.
Okay, so you'd like let's say the strongest AI right now using like a supercomputer from Google. This could be like 40,000 conscious lives of humans.
When did I say that?
Like, let's say it gets so complicated, right? You're directly correlating or causating consciousness for how
I think it's at least. I think it's at least. Yeah, I think it's. I think that, like, if we're going to, like, just from all of our observation, if we think that animals have consciousness, then that consciousness seems to be heavily correlated with how complicated their brains are, and the more complicated their brains are, the more conscious we regard the thing to be. So it seems plausible that the thing.
Yes, it just depends, because you're just causating both the two. I'm not sure.
I'm using induction in the same way that you are.
No, but you're just causating the two. You're saying, well, it seems that
that's inductive reasoning, right?
Well, you're gonna have to explain this epistemic gap, because I'm not saying that. So like you're saying that because they have more or more like brain power, they're able to have exhibit more consciousness. I have no idea what you mean by exhibit more consciousness.
Well,
I don't know.
And I agreed, didn't you? We agreed on that.
I agreed that
you agreed that a mouse is less
conscious.
conscious than a human, right?
Yes.
And you agreed that, like, a tadpole, if it has consciousness, is probably less conscious than a mouse.
Yes.
And you probably also
But I'm
agreed
saying
that,
the
like,
reason-
a dog
the reason
is
why I
more
agreed with-
conscious than. So the point is that you and I agree that complexity and consciousness are heavily correlated.
Yeah. Again, yes, but it's not because of we have differences in opinion on the ontology of it. So I think that consciousness is something different than what you do, because you're a materialist, right?
I'm a physicalist, but yes.
Physicalist, yeah. I think it both work out the same. I'm not sure in this view. Okay, so you're saying like it's directly correlated, brain power to consciousness. The more brain power you have, the more conscious your state is. Maybe the more suffering you're able to feel. Maybe the more empathetic you're able to feel. I'm not sure what it would mean for like an LLM to even like have feelings.
I don't know what
are they like exhibiting a hormone? Like
So I don't know what it would be like for a mouse for a bat to experience sonar, but that doesn't mean that they don't experience sonar.
Well, like we know what it even feels like for an amoeba, because they have like a genetic code to like experience suffering, because they don't want to do it anymore.
I don't think that amoebas feel anything.
Oh shit! Well, or experience light. I think they experience light, right?
I don't think that they have a subjective experience.
I don't think they have a subjective experience, right? But I'm saying that they feel suffering, right? We understand.
I think suffering requires a subjective experience, right? That's what suffering.
I mean, valuable suffering maybe, but okay. But let's just say evolutionarily, like, okay, they experience light.
They experience they experience negative stimuli. How about that?
Negative stimuli, sure. Okay. And then like we understand like hormone secretion and like. We value that, and we understand that humans feel this, and we understand that dolphins feel this. Now, I don't know what it means for like an LLM to have this sort of conscious experience. Like,
okay, so what if let me run you through a thought experiment then. What if we take an LLM and we code it on one of those like brain organoid things, and we hook up its like internal synapses with like not pineal glands, with like various secretive glands that like secrete oxytocin or serotonin or adrenaline or stuff when it gets certain inputs. Would that have consciousness to you?
I think the consciousness is the qualia. Like,
well,
I don't think no matter
now
how
it has hormones. Now it has organic brain matter.
I think that gets you by the
example.
I think that gets you behind the example that I just gave. by trying to make a distinction using like hormones and stuff. Yeah, I agree there. But yeah, I guess we just have fundamentally different views on consciousness, because I don't think my consciousness could be explained by atoms, or else we would have already made a brain anyway. I think it has
but
to
hold
be...
on, hold on. That's silly though, right? Because like we
No,
haven't
because
even hold on. We
Well, for a
just
second,
mapped
for a second.
we just mapped a fruit fly's brain for the first time like 6 months ago. To think that we would have already made a brain just because, you know, consciousness might be physical doesn't mean that like this is a technology issue, not like a permanent stumbling block, right?
I think that this is categorically different. I don't think no matter what atoms you're looking at, what synapses you're looking at, what neurological framework you're looking at, what monitor you're looking at to experience this stuff, you're never going to see the color red whenever I send out a wave.
I understand that that's your
You're never going to see
position,
it.
but your reason for believing that,
Can
the
you
justification
explain how you
gave,
could see the color red?
all I'm saying is the justification you gave that, well, if we could, then we would have already made a brain, is a terrible justification.
Yeah, okay, that's it. I agree with that. But I'm saying that there's a categorically different. I think it's categorically different. Like, I don't think you could ever see an experience. I don't think you could ever measure an experience besides just measuring atoms.
Wait,
or,
why
like,
couldn't
hormones.
look, so if you can cause somebody's brain to force them to have an experience, isn't that just saying that that thing that you did is the experience?
Well, you would cause, again, under the dualist view, you would cause the body to have an experience, and the body affects the experience, but you're never ever tangentially like related to the consciousness. This is the dualist view, and again, it's like there's certain.
So then it seems like an unfalsifiable view then.
Well, it's not necessarily unfalsifiable if you take it to be more plausible than materialism.
Well, what's the false? How could you falsify this view?
I guess you would falsify it by actually showing that consciousness is genuinely just a brain state. If you were to measure this qualia, you'd be able to see it. You'd be able to understand what someone is literally seeing or experiencing when they send like an atom or something. If it's just atoms, you would be able to see that.
Yeah, and so what if? If a science, let's say that a scientific experiment was done, and then they're like, aha, that brain thing is redness, is the experience of redness. You would just say, no, that's just the body doing something, communicating with the experience
No. I would
of
say
redness.
that's the consciousness then, because that would, I mean, that'd just be explaining away the whole thing. That would say absolutely it's consciousness. You would be like, yeah, you'd be taking like the crux of the qualia, and also, you know, people experience like certain waveforms differently. You know, people are colorblind. Yeah, it just seems like
we could just we know what it takes to what you have to do chemically in order to make somebody see red, right? In order to make somebody experience red. We know what that takes.
You can never see the experience.
Well, that's because the experience is happening in that brain, not in yours. I don't know what you mean. See the experience. Experiences are by definition like they happen inside your head. You could make it. You could make it happen in your head if you wanted to by like poking and prodding in the right way.
Well, how are you ever able to see what happens in another person's head?
Well, you can.
Exactly.
But that's not an issue. You could do it to your own head if you were concerned that they were lying
I feel like
to you.
that's the whole entire issue. Like I'm experiencing something different than a different person. If I were to try and do this on like a philosophical zombie, wouldn't this literally work the exact same way? Let's say that I give this philosophical zombie like some sort of atoms or waveforms.
That's why we would try it on something that's not a philosophical zombie, right?
Well,
we would try
exactly.
it on like a person.
Let's just explain it all away. So like, okay, the philosophical zombie, let's give it waveforms of red. Well, I could see that it's getting red because of my experience. I can't see that it's getting red because I'm not sure if it has a conscious experience. So if you ever see what a different person
to me, you wouldn't believe me either. You wouldn't be like, yeah, that's making them see red. If it did it to me, right?
No, exactly. And so I'm saying we'd have to get to the consciousness.
Yeah, we'd have to do it to you. We'd have to do it to you, and then you believe us, right?
No. We could literally just see on the screen.
Then you would see red. Then you would have the experience of. No, that's what the experience of red is. It's when your brain does this.
Like in this hypothetical, let's just say we have like a screen attached to the brain, and the brain is exhibiting.
No, you can't hook up a brain to a screen. A brain is like.
I know. I'm using a hypothetical real quick. Okay, so let's say that like I would say this is how you if we ever get to a point like this is where I would say, okay, we're measuring conscious experience. We know the conscious experience, right? Okay, so they have atoms attached to their brains. We know the atoms, and we know the conscious experience mixed with the atoms. And then I have a screen set up on this person's brain, and when we give them a certain wave, we see what wave they're getting and like the experience that they're having through their brain, through their eyes, through their
so
sense.
like if you gave them the red atoms, then like a red screen would appear or something like that.
Yes, their experience would, or if they're colorblind, then and like they perceive it differently, then yellow would appear.
So that's I mean that's entirely plausible. I think that we're getting to the point where that's even possible, like today.
Okay, it's not contradictory. I just think it's radically implausible. I think that it's categorically different. And again, we could agree to disagree.
So you would say that, and this is just for clarification, and then we can call it there. Sure. You would agree that if we could build a machine where you put it on somebody's head, and then you could like while they're dreaming or something, you could watch their dream on a screen. You would say that falsifies your view.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that it's like at least a falsifiable position.
Yeah, I would say that's falsifiable. Yeah.
Okay, because some people would say, no, that's not. That's so. I've talked with some dualists who are like, oh yeah, no, that wouldn't actually count as a falsification. But yeah, okay, no, that's interesting.
Yeah, just their like qualia. If they're able to exhibit, like, if you're able to show their qualia, and like, I'm not even sure if like being able to see wouldn't only be the only thing. Like, even being able to hear what they hear or something like that. Like, sure. Just an observation of their brain. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, but thanks for being here, Beetleglint.
Thank you, bro.
Have a good one. All right, I'm gonna bring up a guest from YouTube, who's been waiting very patiently for a very long time. Thank you very much for waiting here, Senior Solo. Senior Solo, can you hear me? Senor? Oh no, I think it's just Senior Solo. Oh, that's an echo. I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? Are you talking? Type something in the chat if you're talking, Senior Solo. Oh, I'm stupid. I didn't add you to the thing. Try talking now. Oh, I still can't hear you. Try leaving and rejoining, and I'll bring you back up. Sound. All right, let me just do a sound test. Let me make sure that it's coming through on my... Okay, so that's working. Yeah, one sec. By the way, Garba Gaiman, Atheismo designed for $5 Canadian. Atheismo designed the universe to have no proof of any gods. True! He gives salvation to those who reject dogma and embrace it. It's very true. Yeah, that's how Atheismo does it. Why can't I read? Meliadas, $10, United States dollars. Hope you're having a good live. Gotta get back to work. Well, thank you, and I am having a good live. Thanks for giving me the $10. And Nectu, I don't see how you can separate your mind from the reality it's embedded in. You need a coffee. Want one? It's a little bit late for me to have a coffee, but I do appreciate it. And yeah, the question of mind is very tricky. Senior, can you hear me now? Okay, I can't hear anything that you're saying. Oh, you know what? I'm mega dumb. I know what's happening. There we go. Try talking again. I can hear you now. Yeah, okay. One sec. Let me just double check that we can hear you on YouTube everywhere. Can you give me an audio check? Oh, sorry. One sec. Can you give me an audio check there, Senior? No, TikTok can, YouTube cannot. Let me just try one more. Let me just try updating it really quick. One more time, please.
Can everybody on YouTube get me?
Yeah, they can hear you now. Great. Okay, so sorry to keep you waiting so long. So what do you believe in, and what are you going to convince me of?
Okay, I'm a Muslim. Okay, so I believe in a single God. Okay, there is no Trinity. Okay, he's not a man. He's not a human. He doesn't comply to our rules. Okay, so English is not my native language, so
that's okay.
I might be a little bit slow. Okay, so do you believe in causality? Do you believe everything has a cause?
I think many things have causes. I think most physical stuff has causes.
Yeah. Okay. So you believe in the Big Bang? Yes. Okay. It just
I suspect it probably had a cause. Yeah.
Okay then. So if everything had a cause, okay, and we keep going like that, okay, infinitely, things start, which means that nothing exists. But as we see, we exist. I exist.
Wait, why would we never have a start? Why could we never? Just because, like, let's say that the universe didn't have a beginning, that it's always existed. Why does that mean that we would never get here?
We couldn't go infinitely. Okay?
Why not?
Because if everything kept having a cause, because you will never reach the point of start.
I don't see why that's the case.
You will never reach that point. Why you don't see it? Because everything had a cause. For everything to exist, it must be caused by something else, okay? So if you keep going like that, you will never get to the first cause.
Well,
so
what if there isn't
then
a first
nothing
cause?
exists?
What if there just isn't a first cause?
How comes that? We exist. There must be a first cause.
Why does there have to be a first cause? Sorry?
Because if you keep going infinitely, we will never reach a starting point.
Okay, so that just means that there wouldn't be a first cause.
No, there has to be a first cause. You see, that's the idea, that
But
you can't
why?
just keep going infinitely. Because we exist.
Why does there have to be?
We exist. We have been caused. Okay, for the cause that have caused the cause that caused us, it has to start.
Why does it have to? So I mean, I was caused, and presumably you were caused, and then those things have causes, and I just don't see the issue.
Okay, which means that the causes that have caused our causes must be caused, right?
Yeah, so our causes would have a cause, sure.
Okay, then, so if we kept going infinitely, okay, then when did that cause come? Okay, which means that we doesn't
each cause
exist,
had a prior
but
cause.
we exist.
Each cause would have had a prior cause.
No,
I just
they
don't
can't.
see the issue with this.
They can't. Okay.
Why not?
Because then you would have never reached the point where we come into existence.
I just don't see an issue with that.
You should, okay? Because
why?
Like if let's give a more simple example, okay? So let's say that a soldier, okay, he like killed someone, okay, and they asked him, or no. Let's say that a soldier is guarding a gate, okay, and you tell him open the gate, okay, and he says to you, no, I can't open it without an order from my superior, okay. And then you go to his superior, and he says the same thing, and you go to his superior, and he repeats the same thing. You will never be able to get the gate open, okay?
Yeah, but that's in the wrong direction. That's going back, not going forward.
Sure, we are going back, okay?
No, we're not going back. The stuff like the stuff has already happened.
Which means that at a certain point there was
so a better
superior
analogy,
who doesn't need a superior.
A better analogy would be something like this. So I ask my superior, hey, am I allowed to do this? And they say, yeah, my superior said it was okay. And then you go ask their superior, and they for why they let you do this, and they said, well, my superior said it was okay. And so everybody's superior said it was okay, and so there's just no issue.
Okay, but for them to say it's okay, they must have been given a delegation. They must have been given the power to do so.
Yeah,
okay.
and each
and that doesn't
all that's
represent
saying is that each day follows from the previous day.
No, that's not a similar, because these do not cause each other. Okay, it doesn't. It's not a representative example. If everything is caused by, if you go back infinitely, okay, if everything has a cause, okay, infinitely, you will never get to the point where they started, okay? So, which means that they never started.
Look,
But that's not the case. We exist, we are here.
saying, so where is the issue in saying that every day has a prior day?
That doesn't model causality. We are discussing the idea of causality, that everything has a cause. Okay, days does not cause each other.
Wait. So we can model causality with like with the there's a name for it.
We are trying to simplify. I don't mean a mathematical model. Okay.
Please, I'm giving you a way that we can analogize this perfectly. With the there's a word that I'm forget the successor operation. So there's an operation in mathematics where you just take an integer, the successor, we can model that as the next. So the successor integer after 1 would be 2, the integer after 2 would be 3. So that's what the successor function does. So we can model causality as a sequence of successions, in this case of integers, in the real world of days. Now, it turns out that there is not a first integer, even though every integer is the successor of some other integer. There's still never a first integer. So there's just no issue.
That doesn't actually model causality, because in causality, we are saying that causes cannot exist without the prior ones. Okay?
Yeah, and
you can't just come out of nothing.
Wait a minute. So if we're talking about time, you can't talk about prior when we're talking about the entirety of time, right? The entirety of time is just the entirety of time. Whether it has beginning or not, the entirety of time is something that we're talking about as a whole, right?
Excuse me, I didn't hear the last
So presumably we're talking about the entirety of time as a whole, and we're analyzing whether the entirety of time must have a beginning, or if it can have.
Okay, so we don't know actually what time is yet. Okay, so we didn't get the theory of everything yet.
If we don't know what time is, then how are we talking about it?
We are talking about logic, like how can a cause exist? How can something exist without its causer existing? Okay,
the cause does exist.
Yes, but you can't have that infinitely, because you would never have a start if you keep going infinitely.
Where's the logical contradiction? How about that?
Because we exist, which means that something have to have always existed. Okay.
When I say where's the logical contradiction, what I mean is, what's the P and not P that both must follow from the position that the universe has always existed?
Okay. I didn't discuss the characteristics of that entity that have always existed. It might be the universe. Okay. We didn't get to that point. Okay. We did not get to that point.
Where's the contradiction? Is there not a contradiction?
Okay. We will get to that point, but do we agree that a certain entity have always existed?
Not necessarily, no.
Why not?
I mean, it could be that the universe has a finite past, and so it hasn't always existed.
It must.
Maybe nothing has always existed, or it could be that the universe has always existed, in which case it has always existed.
If nothing have always existed, then what caused us?
The previous things.
Yes, but you said that nothing have ever existed.
No. So it could go either way. I think that there could be a beginning, there could be a first moment in time, or there could not be a first moment in time.
I'm not talking about time, okay? So
yes, you are.
And there has.
I mean, you are, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, well, causation is, as far as I'm concerned, causation is only a thing that exists in relation to time.
I get what you're saying. I get that in order to make it in the sense I'm saying, there have to be a time scale. Okay, I get it. But again, for do we have to exist that something have? Okay, so we actually believe that. That Allah is time, but I don't want to get to that point yet, okay? Because he have always existed. This is part of the concept, okay? But I don't want to get to that. I just want to discuss the point of causality. Okay, I don't want to discuss
so
the
as far as I'm
characteristics
concerned, causality only exists in time, so we have to really be talking about whether time has a beginning, whether there's a first moment of time or not.
Time have always been there. Okay, it's
okay. So you agree that the universe is so you agree that time, and presumably with its space, has always existed.
Time, not our space, not our understanding of space, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, time and space seem to be intrinsically linked, so.
Yes, it seems, but we don't actually know for sure yet. We again,
right,
we didn't get the theory of everything yet.
We should use what we do know.
Sorry?
Well, we should use the information that we do know.
No, because we know it's not perfect. Okay, it doesn't work with quantum mechanics. It's not perfect yet. Okay, so what I'm talking about is from a logical aspect, that if everything had a cause, okay, and there must be a first something that have always existed. Okay,
yeah,
so
let's say it's the universe. Sure. Okay. Maybe let's just agree. I'll just agree with you for the sake of argument. Something must have always existed. Sure.
Okay then. That thing have caused everything else. Okay. Why? Like, it must have will. It must have power. It must have the ability to do, like.
Why does it have to have will?
Because why would it won't be able to make anything if
or it could just be obeying
if it can't move, if it can't.
It could just be obeying natural laws. Look, like, there are things that don't have will, but they still do things.
Yes, but natural laws have causes, okay?
I don't think that's true.
So you think that gravity have no cause? We shouldn't search for it?
Gravity is a phenomenon. We describe gravity with, like, formulas and laws and things like that. But those laws, I don't think those laws are, like, built into the universe.
So you don't think they have a cause?
Well, I mean, the cause is humans that, like, came up with them to describe the universe.
No. Gravity have always existed. Our understanding of it is something else.
So the laws are the laws is our understanding of it, right? Unless by the laws you just mean do you just mean its behavior, or what do you mean when you say laws?
I mean it's a constant way in which things act. Okay.
Yeah. I agree. Things behave in a consistent way. Sure.
Okay, so does that way exist by its own, or does it have some?
Yeah, it could.
Did something cause it?
I don't see why it can't exist on its own.
Okay, so actually, I might agree with that. Okay, if you want to agree that that's the start point. Okay, I have no problem with that. Okay, I have no problem with believing that this is part of the whole thing. Okay, but what I believe in is that there is a starting point. Okay, and that's the first part. Okay, then we come to the concept of God. Okay, I didn't mention if it's a God or not. Okay, I didn't mention what it is. It's just an entity. Okay, now we come to that concept. How do you imagine it to be intelligent? Okay, how do that it have the ability to think, the ability to do, the ability to change. Okay.
Well, the only thing that is only thinking is the sign of intelligence in the things that you just listed. Like, electrons do things, electrons change.
Yes,
well,
but where did electrons come from?
There are things that can do and change without needing intelligence. So you actually have to show that it can think, right?
It's perfect. It has to be able to think. It can't come by accident.
Why does it have to? Who said that it's perfect?
It's perfect because it sets the standard. It can't make mistakes if it sets the standard.
Why do you think that that's true? We're just talking about something that's always existed. Why does it set a standard?
It's the standard.
Why?
Because
It's just
you
something
can,
that always
you can,
existed. It's not like like you're adding extra properties that we haven't agreed on.
Yes, but when you try to judge something, okay, you have to set the criteria, okay, and if it's the thing that have always existed, it means that it's the one that sets the criteria, okay.
Why?
It is the criteria.
What criteria is it setting? Like, it's just a thing that always existed. Why are we saying that it's like setting criteria or doing anything like that?
I didn't say it have set it like that. I mean, it is the criteria, okay?
Why is it the criteria?
It is the criteria.
Why?
Like, you can say you can make better atoms. You don't have that power.
What do you mean? I don't know what that means. What does better mean?
Exactly. What we're talking about is that entity is the criteria. Okay, because you can't.
What? The criteria for what?
When you try to judge it, when you look at the universe, you can't say anything but that it's perfect.
I could imagine it being better.
No, you can't actually do that. Actually,
okay, hold on.
Many people try to do that, and
hold on. I'm doing it right now. I'm imagining it better. It's better, and the way it's better is that you're an atheist. There, I just did it. Slightly better.
But yes, but you can do it. Can you create a universe? Can you make a human?
I don't need to. I just imagined it was better, so I can compare it with something.
Yes, but you don't hold the power to do so.
It doesn't matter if I don't hold the power. I can still compare it with something. I could still say it's not as good as it could have been.
So do you think that you are better than everyone else? You can just your standards, that we should all obey your standards?
Yeah, otherwise they wouldn't be my standards.
Yes, but can you force everybody else to obey that?
I mean, that's what I'm doing right now.
No, you can't. You can't. I don't obey your standards.
Ah, well, you should.
Yes, but you can't force me to do so.
Well, I could. It would just require waterboarding.
No, yes, but you don't have that.
And well, yeah, but that's like a practical
and also
issue.
I'm not like everyone. Also, okay. I'm still not everyone.
Issue, right?
Okay, and even if you had that, you won't be able to force everybody. Okay, you'd only be able to force me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you know, I could just waterboard everybody until they do what I want. No. Like this is a practical issue, not like a philosophical obstruction, right?
You see, we keep turning away from the major idea here. Okay. Also, I have another very simple evidence, but okay, I wanted to play up to the standards. Okay, so I can say that in not just like in the Quran. Okay, we have a clear description of the Big Bang. Okay, how did they know that 1400 years ago?
I don't think they did.
Okay, exactly. So how was someone being able to break the rules?
What rules did they break?
That they can't actually know that 1400 years ago.
I don't think they did know that 1400 years ago.
It's written.
No, it's not. It says that, and we are expanding it, or something like that. That's not the Big Bang.
No,
the Big Bang is
again,
not just like
I guess you didn't. I guess you didn't hear me clearly. Okay.
Go ahead.
I guess you didn't hear me. I said it's written in the Quran that the Big Bang.
I don't think it is. I think that you're interpreting it that way, given current knowledge. But I don't.
No. I'm not interpreting anything. Okay, there is a very well maintained dictionary. Okay, for Quranic Arabic. Okay, it have existed for hundreds of years.
And
it doesn't say the Big Bang happened. It said that, and God is expanding
it
the
says
universe.
it says that a great expansion happened, of which the stars and the planets came out.
Oh, sorry. What's the verse here?
Okay, 1 second.
Because I'm just going to go to Quran.com and look it up.
Okay. It's not a very perfect website. It's actually designed by.
One? What's your preferred website?
I don't have an English perfect one, but it will do fine. Okay. 1 second.
I think I actually know what surah this is. Is this one? I've seen this before. Is it? Oh no, I can't.
1 second.
Is it Al-Anbiya?
Okay. It's yes, Al-Anbiya is verse 30. Okay.
Okay, verse 30. Yeah, so do the I'm just reading one translation, but they're all going to be roughly the same.
Okay.
Do the disbelievers not realize that the heavens and earth were once one mass and then we split them apart and we created from water every living thing? Will they then not believe?
No, it's not a precise translation.
Is that
actually.
claim?
Okay.
Okay, so
No, it's not. It's not the claim.
Not...
It's not the claim. Okay. In Arabic, it says that the skies, okay, and the earth. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes. It says that the skies and the earth were the same thing. Okay, and we blew them up. Okay. أولم يرى الذين كفروا أن السماوات والأرض كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما. Okay, and then we made everything alive from water. Okay, so it mentions the explosion. Okay.
Well,
that they were same thing.
I don't speak Arabic, but
so they were exploded.
If it mentions an explosion, then it definitely isn't describing the Big Bang because the Big Bang wasn't an explosion.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
So if it mentions an explosion, which you just said it did, then it's not talking about the Big Bang because the Big Bang wasn't an explosion. But I also don't think it mentions an explosion because I don't think that explosion.
Sorry, I can't get you. So
can you hear me now?
1 second. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Can you still get me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's not a very perfect website. It's actually designed by.
Are you there? Can you hear me all right?
Can you still get me?
I can hear you, yes.
Because I can't get you.
I can hear you. Y'all can hear me, right? Like on TikTok and on YouTube? Okay, yeah, so, I'm just typing to him. Is it Al-Anbiya?
Okay, it's yes, Al-Anbiya is verse 30, okay?
Okay, verse 30, yeah, so do the disbelief, I'm just reading one translation, but they're all going to be roughly the same.
Okay.
Do the disbelief... Yeah, it's Mecco. I'll unmute you when you stop playing that. Every living thing will then... He's just playing the YouTube live. Yeah, he can't hear me for whatever reason. Look, Senior Solo, I'm going to let you go because it seems like we're having an issue, but feel free to join up again at a later date and we can continue this conversation. Because we just can't. By the way, all remember to like the live, whether you're watching on YouTube or on TikTok. If you like the live, it helps get this out to more people. And also, if we get to 100k likes on TikTok, or let's say, I don't know, 150 likes on YouTube or something like that, then I will put my hair down. Let me just check how many likes we have on YouTube because I don't want to promise anything that you still have his name on your screen. Yeah, that's my fault. I just haven't turned it off yet. There we go. Okay, that's gone. Yeah, so we have 69 likes on YouTube, so you gotta get those numbers up. Anyway, let's bring on another guest. Let's bring on a guest from TikTok this time. You guys weirdly do like that, but you know what? Look, it's not weird to like it because I have pretty good hair, like, right? Oh, she's not listening. She's reading. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk to. I don't know. Let's talk to. Infinity Potato. Infinity Potato? Not connecting? Talk to Yup. The Talk to a podcast. Alright, let's talk to Evan Hooker. With a name like that, gotta talk to him. She is sick of listening to these. I don't know why she doesn't like just put in here headphones or something. Oh, she does. Okay, never mind. All right, this person's not connecting either. Let's just bring up this person. Born to greatness. All right, this person's not connecting. We're getting no guests that are connecting through on TikTok. Very strange. Let's just bring up another guest from YouTube then. All right, we have somebody who's, I think, been waiting to come up. Talking to the moon. How's it going?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Hello.
Are you the fellow
How are you,
Discord?
We've already discussed before, as I've been on your or you're one of your friends' shows, and we had a bit of a bad experience. I'm not sure what his name is, but nevertheless, also I've been on your Discord server recently. As I've just put into
Are you the guy that's
messages
been spamming? Is that you?
Spamming? Hang on. How do you call that spamming? You're literally here talking about scientific things, and then when I talking about scientific things, you
so just for context, this guy's been like spamming like random pictures from pictures that are entirely in Arabic. It definitely is spamming, and as the owner of the Discord, I'm the one who gets to decide whether it's spamming or not. Anyway, if you want to defend your position, you can.
But people can go to the Discord server and see what I've been spamming in inverted commas, because you can see obviously what this conversation
they absolutely
is about.
Can.
If you can see that that's spamming, they can decide on their own. Okay, so let's continue this conversation, right? So where are we at from the Discord servers, right? Which of the things that I have put do you think are false? Let's start with that, because you already
all
what
of
I've
it,
been
but I haven't really paid attention to most of the stuff that you've written.
Dude,
yeah, I
you're
haven't
a
really paid
scientist,
attention to
mate.
most of it. By the way, do you have a video that you want to put on?
And you don't recognize trigonometry, you don't recognize algebra,
by the way,
you don't recognize...
is there a video that you want to put on? Or no?
Sorry?
You don't have to, but I'm just asking if you want to put your video on.
Video? Oh, no, I don't have a camera. I am going to get a camera, so I will make this,
okay.
like
that's not a big deal. Okay, yeah, so what's the claim that you're making?
What's the what?
What's the claim that you're making?
Okay, so just give me 1 minute. Let's put my air conditioner off, because it's kind of interrupting with what I'm hearing. Just give me 1 second. Let me just put my air conditioner off, because I can't hear you.
You're fine.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning, because obviously there's a lot of people that haven't heard the discussion or follow that on Discord. So my point was, when God speaks to man, right? He doesn't just appear to a bunch of people in a room and says, "Here I am God." Tell everyone, and everyone just goes out and everyone believes him, right? You wouldn't believe it. If somebody came to us and said, "God talk to me," or even UFOs are talking to me, everyone would deny that, right? And say, "Give me the proof," and it'd be a very hard thing to prove. Even if it was recorded, if it was recorded on a screen, people will say it's CGI and so on. And God knows human psychology, because God created human psychology, right? Sure. So when God comes to man, he comes to man in the most, usually in places where God spoke to man in the past, because people in the past were extremely ignorant, right? And he, for example, in the Quran, it says, "We teach man that which he knows not." That's how God approaches man, right? He teaches him knowledge, and he teaches him science, and he teaches him things that he doesn't know. So that it's a proof for not just that generation, because Muhammad's dead, he's gone. We can't speak to Muhammad. His people around him are dead and gone. But the people that come after, they look back at what was, what came into that time to kind of define, to make belief in God. Now, I just want to mention this quickly, just for the Christians. Obviously, with Jesus was one of the prophets of Allah as well, or God, or whatever. He came to the Jews specifically, was sent to the Jews, and obviously the people in that time attempted to kill him, or they say they killed him. Doesn't matter. That's not the point. But he didn't get a chance to give his message to the world, right? And what was left was people's, witnesses and people who think they saw what they heard, and they passed it on. And it was written down in a time when people didn't read or write. So obviously, you got crumbs of that reality that people experienced, right? But Muhammad was one of the only successful people in the past that actually that the people, even though he spent 23 of his life during the revelation of the Quran, which was revealed over 23 years. he spent also fighting against the Arabs. Arabs tried to kill him multiple times. They killed his followers. They killed the slaves that joined him. The first people to join him were the slaves because he talked about equality.
Try to land the plane.
And
Try to land the plane.
Yeah.
I know the history.
No, I've got to. What do you want me to say? Are you asking me like?
Well, I want to actually justify the claim that God is real, rather than just telling me the history of Jesus and Muhammad.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. So God, for example, teaches Muhammad immediately by bacteria. He says, eat with your right hand, wash yourself with your left. Instructs me.
Where does it say anything about bacteria in that quote?
He doesn't use the term bacteria because he's not speaking to English people
does he use the Arabic word for bacteria?
Yeah, he uses the word shayateen, which means something that's harmful, right? He called the shayateen is the word.
Are all harmful things bacteria, and are all bacteria harmful?
The things that are harmful to the way that, like, when you're like, clearly the point is if you wipe your ass after taking a number 2, you're not gonna. People didn't know, for example, not to eat with that hand. They probably just would have wiped it on the floor, or something off their clothes, and they wouldn't have known. Okay, if I use that.
Okay, so but bacteria is never mentioned. It's just like vague gesturing towards cleanliness.
So yeah, something that's harmful, but so the context is used in that example, right? So clearly the context. So he's teaching people from beginning, but it's not just that. It's not just don't just eat with your hand.
So bacteria doesn't show up in the Quran. Just vague gesturing towards cleanliness. Got it. What's the next one?
Hang on. Wait. You mean, are you looking for the English word bacteria in the Quran? You're not going to find it.
No, just something actually descriptive rather than just like harmful, rather than just harmful thing.
God is talking in a way that everybody can understand it, from a little child to a full
So he's just vaguely gesturing that cleanliness is good. Okay.
No. Hang on. You can't. That's not a vague description. That was a law.
He's not telling you at all what it is.
Wait. Hang on, allow me to explain. So first of all, he makes that rule, for example, that he separates toilets from. So for example, you can't now go into a toilet and then keep that toilet, for example, inside where you live. For example, it's called najis, so it's not tahir, it's not clean anymore.
Okay.
To the point that you can't even listen to this. To the point that you can't even have a drop specifically of urine or other matter of
more about cleanliness
on the and he makes it a law that you'll be punished for it. In fact, so he makes it like
cleanliness. The Jews had ritualistic cleanliness too.
Yeah, exactly. And God spoke to the Jews. It's in the Quran. That God spent many prophets to the Jews.
My point is, ritualistic cleanliness is not like unique to the Quran. It's not even unique to Judaism.
It builds upon that. Hang on, it builds upon that. So he's teaching man. So he teaches man. Okay, hang on. So he teaches man about cleanliness and bacteria, and like, for example, I'll give you another one. He says Muslims have to clean their underarm area. They have to remove the hair, right? Not completely but they have to remove it so it's not longer than a rice grain. You have to remove hair around, even, excuse my language, around the groin area. Right, he makes it all because he says that's where the unclean region collects. He says, like, he teaches people that's an area that uncleanliness collects. So hence you have to cut the hair
that's kind
to
of
remove
obvious,
it. So
like that. That's not
surprising.
surprising.
People, hang on. It's not obvious. Like your ancestors, and I'm European. I'm not Arab. Your ancestors and my ancestors living 1,000 years ago.
By the way, my ancestors did know about it. Yours didn't.
Who's your ancestors?
I'm Jewish.
Okay, so your background, there you go. But who said are we denying the Jews? That the Jews they spoke to God spoke to, like, the science didn't start with Muhammad. God's in Islam 275.
Science started in like the 1500s.
No, science started clearly from in terms of
the scientific method started in like the 1500s.
Yeah, the method that you got from us. I've been.
Well,
go to the.
I mean, can you give me examples of like writings about the scientific method prior to like the 1500s?
Okay, you want me to read it out to you because I've got it all. I've got a list of them all. I can read them out.
Yeah, sure. Give me a quote where it lays out the scientific method.
Okay, scientific method. So this is. So by the way, let me just give a bit of background to this because people understand where this comes from. So these are the students of Muhammad's grandson. So Muhammad spent 23 of his life fighting the Arabs. They were trying to kill him constantly.
Okay, so to be clear, I just want to quote about the scientific method.
So the Islamic empire spreads, and then that's when the things start to get taught to the people. Like that's when God gives you once you've accepted God, because He's not going to give you the science and then you kill the prophet and then you get to keep the science.
All right, I'm still waiting for the scientific method.
All right, calm down. Okay, so Jabir ibn Hayyan was the father of chemistry. I'm going to read the groundbreaking theories. Classification of substances, divided matter into spirit, metal, non-metals. First atomic theory, Professor Dalton's atomic theory suggested matter.
Sorry. I want a description of the scientific method.
I'm just giving it to you. These are literally from books.
You're giving me examples of like ways that people thought about the world.
No, this is not. Oh my God. So you're denying this? You're denying Jabir ibn. Hang on. You're denying Jabir ibn, who's the father of on Wikipedia on every.
He can be the
father
of chemistry and still not have done the scientific method.
No. First, the use of alkaline substances and neutralization. Introduce alkalis to counter acids.
Where's the sign? You're giving me examples of things that people have done.
This
I
is not
want to know
examples.
examples
Okay, so
of the
you're saying,
scientific method
you're
being
saying, give me
written
example
about.
of Newton, for example. Hang on. You're saying, give me example of Newton, but then when I say,
No, I'm not giving you. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for an example. Okay.
Come on,
do you
that's
understand
ridiculous.
do you know what the scientific method is? Do you know what
yes,
that
I
is?
do understand.
Okay, can you tell me
I'm
what it is?
giving you literally, they created the thing that came to the Renaissance later on and changed the Europe.
Again, you're not giving me an example of the scientific method. I want an example of somebody writing about using the scientific method.
You're not winning this. You're not winning this by saying, give me every time. Okay, I'll give you another one. Muhammad,
so do you not have one? Do you not have it?
Algebra. I'm giving
Judas,
you, mate, algebra.
$2. Guess yaps more than their ChatGPT responses.
Algebra literally was created by the Arabs
Algebra's
from
not
Al-Khwarizmi.
science.
Wow. Okay. So you just denied algebra?
Okay,
what else are you
algebra is
gonna
not
do?
science. It's mathematics.
So
Mathematics
chemistry
is not science.
Algebra is not science. Mathematics, trigonometric laws are not
Obviously,
science.
chemistry is science,
they
but
created-
they weren't doing science. They weren't doing the scientific method. They were just doing
Yes,
stuff.
they were doing. Oh my god. Okay, so first experiment classification of substances.
do you understand what I'm
dividing
talking?
matter into
Hold on.
spirits,
Do you
metals, and
understand what I'm
non-liquid
asking for?
experiments.
Do you understand what I'm asking for?
Do you understand what you're asking for?
Do you understand what I'm asking for?
Oh my, you're denying that literally this is the people that inspired the Renaissance.
Do you know what I'm asking? Do you understand what I'm asking for?
First use of alkaline substances in neutralization. That's not a
Do you
science.
understand what I'm asking for? This is a super
hang
easy
on.
question.
Okay.
Wait, actually, can
yes
you
or
just
no?
describe
True or
what you
false?
think I'm asking for?
First use of alkaline substances and neutralization.
Can you
Introduce
describe what you
alkaline
think I'm asking for?
counteract acids.
I'm
Listen,
not gonna
wait.
look. Can you describe what you think I'm asking for?
Mixture of dissolving gold. First to purify nitric acid and
I muted you, by the way, and I'm going to keep you muted, and I'll unmute you. But if you don't answer what I'm asking for, I'm just going to keep you muted, okay?
Okay,
Go
next.
ahead.
First to use chemistry, applied chemistry to pharmaceuticals. First to use ethanol. This is, by the way, in 800.
Okay, so you don't know what I'm asking for. You try it again. Do you know what I'm asking for? Go ahead.
Do you know what you're asking for?
I do. I can tell you what I'm asking for.
So what are you expecting? You want to hear like you want?
I want to
hear.
So here, I'll tell you what I'm asking for. What I would like to see is I would like to see some sort of writing, or some sort of recording.
I'm giving you the writings. Look it up. I'm making this.
I was not done talking. I'm muting you until I'm done. I was not done talking. I want to see some sort of writing or something about somebody saying the way to test a scientist or the way to test an idea is you run you take your idea, you make a prediction, you run an experiment to test that prediction, and then you either throw out the idea or you don't throw out the idea. That's what I want to see an example of. Okay? I'm going to unmute you now.
Okay, so now that I'm muted, thank you for letting me speak. So Ibn al-Haytham first established a scientific method based on observation, experimentation, and hypothesis testing.
Okay, who is this?
First to emphasize empirical data over pure logic. Ibn al-Haytham.
Okay, who is this?
Ibn al-Haytham.
So where did he describe experimentation and hypothesis and all this stuff? Where did he do that?
Books. Okay.
Okay.
I've got actual Arabic for that. I have to literally go through pages and pages and to try and translate it.
I'm not making there's got to be translations, right? There's got to be translations, right? Oh,
okay. So I'm giving you like the sort of the summary of all of this, like in the like.
Yeah, I don't want to know about what the things he did was. I want to know about the scientific method that he developed.
Okay, described how light bends.
That's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for the specific things he did. I'm asking for the method.
Show that light enters a small hole and projects an inverted image on a surface.
Do you not understand what I'm asking for? Do you not understand what I'm asking for?
I don't think you understand what you're asking for. You're asking me for the things that they've done.
I have explained it to you twice now.
But I'm giving you the things that they've done. How can you deny this? You're saying this didn't happen?
The things he's done are different from the scientific... Look, Aristotle did stuff. That doesn't mean
my God, you're
doing the
comparing Aristotle
method.
to this? Wow. Aristotle was disproven by these people, my friend. These people disproved the theories of Aristotle, for example, about the globe and about hang on, I'll give you exact things that they disproven. There's actual.
So you still don't know
let me read you what they disproven.
You still don't know what I'm asking?
First to reject Ptolemy's flawed planetary model. Criticize Ptolemy's judgment for being mathematically.
I don't care. This is irrelevant.
First to use camera obscura for solar observation. Study the moon and started using pinhole projection. First to...
Okay, I don't care. It's not relevant. I was saying Aristotle did experiments, but that doesn't mean he was doing the scientific method. You understand that, right?
Are you going to keep denying this? What experiments did he do? Go tell me. Aristotle was a philosopher, literally. He just spoke about ideas that they never did experiments to. Yeah, exactly. Sorry,
I was
mate.
thinking of
Sorry.
Archimedes, not
Sorry.
Aristotle. I always get those two
Sorry.
confused.
No, even them, they didn't. They did everything. They didn't do other than the people who took
They like
measurements
built
at the
stuff
start.
and tested stuff out, but they weren't
No,
using the
okay,
scientific
okay,
method.
it's
That's
very-
the point.
It's interesting you say that. Give me the proof now. This is the same way you asked me.
Wait. Do you think that Archimedes didn't test out his like?
No, I
his
do believe that
heat
they
ray?
did those things, but he got things wrong. Yes, I completely believe, and I'm
Okay.
proud of what they did, and I admire their work. We're not against their work, but they got things wrong. They didn't actually say this
Yeah,
is
of
what
course they got
something
things
is.
wrong. I never said that they got things right. The point is he wasn't doing science.
And furthermore, listen, can I make a
Wait a
very
minute, hold
important
on.
point?
Actually, do you think that he was doing science? Do you think that Archimedes was doing science?
They were all doing science without a
Oh,
question.
okay,
without a
then
doubt.
the scientific method predates Muhammad. Under your worldview.
No, hang on.
You just said he was doing science.
Observational experimentation of things predates Muhammad for sure, without a question. We believe even that.
Okay,
Jews,
so
for
then
example,
science predates.
Jews
under
got
your
given
worldview.
information by
Fine.
God as well.
Okay,
We don't deny that. We don't deny that. But
I'm glad we agree that Muhammad didn't invent Muhammad and his grandchildren or whatever didn't invent science. They didn't okay. I'm glad we agree.
God invented science. We don't say that it started with Muhammad. We didn't say that prior to Muhammad there was no such thing as science. Nobody says that. But we define
then
in
what is
modern
your claim
science.
here? What is your claim here?
What is my claim here? As I said from the beginning, in the beginning, the first verse of Quran, the Prophet Muhammad, we teach man that we chain you not. That's the proof of God, right? So he teaches to you the things that he made,
The
right?
proof
Which he
of
wasn't
God
there.
is
wasn't
that-
around before.
The proof of God is that some Muslims did science. Is that the proof of God?
No, the proof of God is about the knowledge of the universe, the things that you believe in today, right? The things that you accept. For example, you accept laws about gravity. Same. By the way, I did software engineering and physics at university, so I'm not completely, ignorant to these things. I know these topics. I'm more focused on computer science sides and game development and game engineering. So my physics is more to do with that. But I know enough physics to be able to keep up with someone who's got your level of it without a question, without a doubt. However, what we're talking about here is, and my point was originally that when God comes to people, he gives them science, he gives them proof, he gives them new knowledge which they use. And by the way, this inspired all the stuff in the West. The stuff that occurred in the West, the knowledge that
Archimedes
occurred
inspired
during the
the
Renaissance
Muslims,
came
fine.
from the Arabs. They literally have. They call him Jebber, for example, in what's it called?
The Greeks, the Romans, they inspired the Arabs of the Middle East, like in the Golden Age, in
How-
the Islamic Golden Age.
They corrected the things that. Hang on, Ptolemy was wrong about everything. Ptolemy's.
And then the Arabs were wrong about everything, and then the Renaissance people were wrong about everything.
What
That's
would
how
the Arabs
science
wrong
works.
about? Go ahead. No, that's the point. The point is what we're giving you
Probably
here.
everything. Like I don't know off the top of my head, but are you
Okay, so
saying
you
that they
say
didn't?
the first
Hold on.
experiment.
Just
wait,
be
wait,
clear.
wait.
I just need just be clear. Do you think that they got anything wrong?
Okay, so there's definitely things that they're incomplete, but they didn't get things like wrong in terms of, like, for example, saying that the Earth is the center of the universe. They didn't say that kind of stuff. Like, for example, Ptolemy's model of the solar system was that the Earth was the center,
Wait a
and
minute.
astrological stars
So
revolved around, and then there was only the sun that revolved around, kind of like the flat Earth model without the actual flat Earth, just a model of how it was. For example, they corrected this. The Arabs corrected this.
wait. So
without
do you
even
think
having
do you think
satellite.
that do you think that Ibn al-Haytham got the Haytham? Is that I don't know how to pronounce it.
Haytham, yeah,
and
yeah,
al-Biruni. Do you think that these guys figured out, for example?
They didn't listen. We don't say that they had
Please,
all the
please.
knowledge. We don't.
Can you let me finish a
should I-
sentence? Can you let me
Okay,
finish
yeah.
the sentence, dude? Seriously.
Now you know how I feel, by the way. Go ahead. Sorry, I apologize.
So there is a and I'm blanking on the name. It starts with an F, I want to say. Let's say Fermat's principle. Did they know about Fermat's principle of minimal
That-
travel time for light?
Wait.
This is
I'm not familiar with
optics.
that. Wait. I have to
This is
check with that.
optics.
What's the principle called?
It's Fermat's principle.
Give me the name. The fur.
Fermat.
When was that? When did that come into? That's like in the 16th century, 15th century, 17th century, right?
1662.
Okay. Well, we're talking about people from 700.
Oh, okay. So
CE.
they were wrong about how light propagated then.
No. That's the point. The fact that in 700, these people were describing the rotation of the Earth, rotation of the Moon.
Okay,
rotation of
but they were wrong
the
about
sun.
stuff, right? They thought that light propagated.
What
in
were they
a
wrong
different
about?
way.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. What were they wrong about?
Well, they
I'd like to hear this.
didn't mention it, so they must have said something else that was wrong.
No, first of all, science obviously develops over time. They're not going to be like, God isn't like,
Yeah. Okay.
here's
so
all
then
the science.
So
use
why are
it,
you saying?
destroy the universe, and I'm going to come correct you. It doesn't work like that.
Bingo.
God
So
revealed
so
things
the
in
Greeks were wrong
measure.
in the same way that the Muslims were wrong, and the same way that the
Wrong
Renaissance
about what?
Europeans
You
were
keep
wrong.
saying we're wrong, but what's your proof? See, it's funny you ask for proof.
Wait, but
everything
you just
said-
agreed that they had no idea about Fermat's principle.
This was developed on this knowledge, by the way. They didn't have all the knowledge. And by the way, the Arabs got destroyed
Okay,
by
so
the
you're right.
Mongols.
They didn't have all the knowledge.
Yeah.
Neither did the Greeks. Neither did the Romans. Neither did the Renaissance
Because-
people. Neither
and
did the
also, even if
Chinese.
they-
Like,
okay, but hang on. Okay,
So-
when a prophet comes to man, right? when it comes to God, obviously gives him a certain amount. So obviously, when God, when people refer to knowledge of God through the prophet, which is the proof of God, right? They can ask him about certain things. Like, for example, as you discussed just before with the guy prior to me, he was talking about how the Quran mentions that the earth was cleft asunder, and there was one, the heavens and the earth, everything was one, cleft asunder, and then expanded, and all life was formed from water, and also the expanding of the universe. We created the universe with great might, and we are certainly continuing to expand it. Right. So those kind of verses in the Quran do exist without a question, without a doubt.
Didn't you say something about an explosion?
What explosion? It's God that's doing that. Do you understand?
I believe you said the word explosion when you were translating. Or sorry, that was a different guy.
No, there's no explosion. And I wouldn't see us Muslims, we don't like pretend something's there that's not there. We have no problems accepting that. We don't, like, for example, all knowledge was not given to man. God says in the Quran, we're not going to give you all the knowledge. He says that because you're going to use it for the wrong purposes. You're going to, people get corrupted.
So it sounds like all you're implying is that there was a natural progression of scientific understanding or understanding of the natural world from the Greeks to the Romans to the Islamic Golden Age to the Renaissance. And there's just a natural progression. It doesn't seem like the Islamic Golden Age was special in a particular way, any more so than the Renaissance were, the Greek Golden Age, or the Chinese Golden Age.
Hang on. Okay, that's your argument. Beautiful. I love that. I love that you give me something to work with. If that was true, then while it was developing in the Arabian times in 700, 800, it should have been also at the same time developing to that level where literally people created algebra. People created
really. That just doesn't follow, right? Like different places are at their peaks at different times, right? The Greeks long predated the Arabs, for example. So like it's not the same thing. The Greek Golden Age was going to predate the Islamic Golden Age, and so they're going to have different discoveries at different times.
Greek Golden Age, 5 elements: fire, earth, ether, air. That's the Greek
geometry. How about the father of geometry, Euclid?
Hang on, Egyptians had geometry too. We're literally sitting in a building. That's
the father of literally Euclid's Elements, the book Euclid's Elements, was
a beautiful
used
book.
as the standard textbook of geometry until the 1800s.
And guess what? Who's the first person to apply geometry to Euclideans? Who's the first person to apply algebra to the Euclidean geometry and use it in what's called geometrical algebra? Us, the Muslims.
I'm pretty sure that was Descartes, actually. Descartes was the first person to apply algebra to
hang on, I'll read it to you. Wait. I'll read it to you, my friend.
To rather do analytic geometry, I should say.
Al-Khwarizmi was the father of geometry. You can look this up. I'm not everything
Euclid
I'm talking.
I've checked. And thinking anybody else
algebra, algebraic geometry, algebraic. You understand that in the time of the Greeks, they didn't have algebraic concepts for that.
Are we talking about analytic geometry or algebra? What do you think algebraic geometry is? Because algebraic geometry was like Grothendieck, right?
No, it wasn't. There was no algebraic geometry.
So algebraic geometry. Algebraic geometry, I think that was Grothendieck, right? Or do you mean something else by algebraic geometry? Because algebraic geometry developed in like the 20th century.
Using but how? Listen, they use. I understand the calculated ratio of sides of angle things. I understand it because that's like obviously you just take a string and people work that out, right? That's what they did.
Do you
think
that Euclid wasn't the father of geometry?
I never said that. What are you talking about?
Geometry.
Analytical.
He is the father of geometry. Do we agree or no?
Please listen to what I'm saying. No, what?
Wait, is Euclid the father of geometry? Yes or no?
Were people prior to Euclid using geometry?
Is Euclid the father of geometry? Yes or no?
That's not the title that he has. He hasn't. That's not the title he has. I'm not. Listen, I'm not here trying
literally
to.
Okay. I'm sorry. The second sentence on Euclid's Wikipedia page. The second sentence on Euclid's Wikipedia page. First sentence, Euclid was an ancient Greek mathematician active as a geometer and logician. Considered the father of geometry, he is chiefly known for the Elements treatise, which established the foundations of geometry that largely dominated the field until the early 19th century.
And here's the problem with that field, right? There was no algebra, so they couldn't actually abstract it further than other than they were using it for exact measurements of things they were building and things like that. And he did use abstract, but he couldn't have done. He couldn't take it further. He couldn't take it further. And furthermore,
you can literally prove theorems using geometry from Euclid's Elements.
When you take a Euclidean geometry book today, like I got quite a few of them. I did mathematics, there's plenty of it. I love mathematics; it's a fun field.
Are you talking about when you look at it, using coordinates and stuff? Because coordinates that was.
Hang on, when you open Euclidean geometry today, when you open Euclidean geometry today, what do you find in there? Every single theorem is using algebra. Is that how he wrote them back in
using coordinates, which were introduced by René Descartes?
No. Every theorem that he has in there is literally defined by algebraic expressions. Every single one of them. I got a book in front of me right now.
And all of those algebraic expressions are based on geometric notions introduced by Euclid. You're
just
trying to give some weird precedent to like some original
writings. Look, I don't want to. This is a stupid discussion.
You're right. It is a stupid discussion because you're giving some weird precedent to the Islamic Golden Age when there were people when there were
no, it's not a weird precedent, my friend. It literally inspired the Renaissance. Wait, alchemy was banned in Europe from Greece all the way to. Yeah, you don't care because you're wrong, my friend. You just admitted that you just don't
no,
care
I just
because
don't
you're
care.
wrong.
You're ascribing some special precedence to the Islamic Golden Age when, while important, it wasn't like a critical turning point in human knowledge.
First of all, God gave it. Right, God gave it to the whole of human, not just to the Arabs.
By the way,
Arabs,
is this your whole argument that like there were Muslims who were smart, like 200 years
no,
after
there wasn't.
Muhammad, and
Was
therefore,
do you believe that Muslims? Wait. Do you believe that these specific small group of people from a very short period of time magically just came up with all this stuff and just after it ended, do you just believe that happens?
Well,
magically?
they were very, very wealthy and very, very well off. So yeah, when people end up doing, when people are doing well off, they tend to invest in things like the sciences and humanities.
And Greeks and Romans were not wealthy, right? They were just
not at this period of time, no.
People.
They were during their own respective
hang on. You're talking about okay, for example, from the period of Jesus, which is 600 years prior to Muhammad, when the Roman Empire wasn't huge and massive and spread all the way to Jerusalem. That's not, and they were not.
Yeah, the Romans had their own golden age, and that includes it, and they had huge amounts of progress during their golden age.
People were not even writing in the days of Jesus. That's clearly evident from the Bible today. We see that. What are you talking about? You think they were doing mathematical equations? The people during the time
you understand that like there's a natural development, right? So like. Yeah, the notion of like algebra, that was
it's not
absolutely.
Natural development. Who else was naturally developing literally alkalines, metals, defining these things to the point
look,
we still use them today. Who was doing that? Tell me.
Okay.
Tell me. Give me a name. Let's
check your theory. I understand.
No, I'm not struggling. You're struggling. You're the one that you're making stupid.
No, I'm rubber. You're glue. Look, bro.
You said it's natural progression. So where's the natural progression
it's a natural
alchemy and chemistry was banned in Europe.
Okay.
Banned. It was considered
witchcraft. Where were the Muslims when Euclid was doing geometry?
They were in the.
Where were the Muslims when the Italians were doing Renaissance things in the 1600s?
The Quran describes the Arabs in the worst state. The Romans described the Arabs during that time as not even worth conquering. How pathetic they were. They were the most worst people. In a U.S. civilization, they had no government. They had no order. Right. They had no justice.
During
exactly.
The
so that's what makes us
okay.
So God,
hold on. Can you stop talking for a minute so I can lay out what my position is on this? Can you give me 30 seconds of not interrupting me?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the overall knowledge of humanity is generally a progression forward from very, very rudimentary things in the distant past to a lot more modern things. And generally, that knowledge, even going as far back as a few thousand years ago, that knowledge spreads out fairly well. Like, for example, the Muslims were translating ancient works by the Greeks, and so the knowledge was spreading. And so the natural time to develop these more advanced topics in mathematics happened to be around 1,000 years ago. And it happened to be the group that was dominant at the time, or the group that was very wealthy at the time, was the Islamic, the Islamic caliphates. And so, yes, they were the group that discovered those things. And then the Europeans, 500 years later, when they were very wealthy, they were discovering the next things. And the Greeks, 1,000 years earlier, who were very wealthy, were discovering the previous things. It's just a natural progression, and it just depends on who's the most advanced people at a time that ends up being the people that discover the next thing that would occur in the progression. That's all it is.
That's your argument?
That's my position, and it's obvious for anybody who studied sociology, even a little bit.
Okay, for that to be obvious, you'd have to prove literally that somebody discovered the things. Okay, Jabir ibn Hayyan is the best example. Literally, alkali and salts of mercury isolated by Jabir ibn Hayyan, 11th century, 8th century. Alum and salts and spirits of mercury isolated by Jabir ibn Hayyan. Ammonium carbonate, knowledge of the ammonium carbonate.
Why are you reading these to me?
Show me where this is occurring.
It's not relevant to my position.
You don't need to listen. You don't need money to discover these things. You just have to look at rocks and minerals and things and say this is that.
You have.
How do you think they did it?
Wait, you have a degree, right?
Software engineering and physics. Yeah, software engineering. I did double degree. Yes.
Okay. Then why are you acting like you don't? Like you don't. Wait, you think that you don't? You think that you can just be like dirt poor and not know where your next meal is, and then you're still going to do science?
Okay, Newton, for example, famously during the plague, he was, he hauled himself off from the rest of...
Newton had a PhD.
No. He hauled himself. Hang on, you're saying about poor. You said money. You're the one talking about poor and money.
He was independently wealthy. What are you talking about? Dude lived on a manor.
He was isolated from the whole world. All right, so he basically
he lived on a manor. He was wealthy.
People were going and eating food during the Black Plague when people literally thought they could die.
Wait a minute. Do you think that he was worried about where his next meal would be?
Who knows? How do you know that he was eating or not? But that's the point.
What's your point? Dude was independently wealthy.
What does that have to do with anything?
When people don't know where their next meal is coming from?
You think science equals money. That's ridiculous, man. Come on.
When people don't know where their next meal is coming from, they're not worried about studying alkali metals. They're worried about figuring out where their next meal is coming from.
Right, and the Arabs were using this information to make money. Is that what you're saying?
No, the point is that they had a highly developed society, which gave them enough leeway.
Really? Magically, they did it in 200 years, right?
Please don't cut me off.
Go
The
ahead.
point is that they had a highly developed society. They were a very wealthy society. They had a lot of trade. They had stable governments, and that allowed for them to invest time, money, resources into the sciences, into humanities, into poetry and art and history because they had all of their other needs met.
Wrong.
This
I'll tell you why.
this is like obvious
Wrong.
sociology. This is like
First of all,
bottom tier learners in a sociology 101 class.
Chinese dynasty existed at the time. Nobody was interrupting them. They're having fights with the Mongols, but generally they were pretty successful, you know,
Wait a
in terms
minute.
of their
Do you
dynasty.
thi-
Whenever
wait,
interrupted,
Do you
whenever
think that they were?
interrupted.
Do you think that they were stable?
Yeah,
And by the way, the
well,
Chinese,
what is-
they invented gunpowder, they invented paper, they arguably
Yeah,
invented
correct.
writing like
When-
6,000
when-
years ago. Like, they did plenty. The Chinese did
and
plenty.
they were hang on, they were inventing algebra and they were inventing chemistry from
Oh,
scratch
okay,
from the
but
beginning.
the Arabs never invented gunpowder, so that means that they're useless, right?
Please, you're ignoring like this mountain and you're saying, look at this crumb, and it's like how it's
Wait,
equivalent.
do you think that
These-
paper
these-
and gunpowder are not important?
No, they are important. Of course, important. There's no people reach
Crumbs.
knowledge. We got a mind. Everyone's got a brain. But nobody came with this bunch of knowledge out of nowhere. Literally, people they were burying their daughters like 200 years prior. They're burying their daughters every time they had a female infant. They'll bury because she was.
Yes,
that,
and then they
you know,
accrued
used-
a lot of wealth, and then they started investing. And then they
by the
started
way,
investing in the
imagine a
humanities and
society
the
that
sciences.
keeps burying
That's
daughters.
the
You're going to
natural
be a small
progression.
society. And you're saying that they didn't have like, you know, turbulence. They had turbulence with the Persians above them. They had turbulence with the Romans who
Not when they were
constantly
not
trying
during
to-
the Islamic Golden Age. They were wildly successful and stable.
You're saying there was no wars and things like that.
The Golden Age is the Golden Age for a reason.
Golden age for science, my friend, because it came from the prophet's knowledge from God, right? The science you believe in today is
The
what
Islamic
this
Golden
comes
Age
from.
was a period of like huge stability.
So hang on, yeah, because the Islamic Empire spread and people had literally, you know, they had a certain
Yeah,
amount
it
of
was
like, you know,
wildly stable.
but even if they're stable, people spend time, you know, like marrying women and having fun and drinking and things like that. Clearly,
Yes.
these people were not doing that. These people were making
Obviously,
science that was going to
yeah,
be used
but-
much
Okay,
much
do
later.
you
200 years
not think-
before that, they
do
were
you
in the
not
desert,
think-
not like.
Do you not
Sorry?
think that like if you have you have two societies, one is very stable, doesn't like has constant sources of food, doesn't regularly have war or internal conflict, and another society that isn't stable, doesn't have a good source of food, is constantly at war. Which one do you think is going to do better scientific achievements?
So the Byzantine Empire was a constant at war. The
Which
Greeks
one?
were constantly.
Answer my question, please.
The whole world was in war except the Middle
my
East.
question,
That small
please.
region.
Answer my question.
No, is
please.
that? Are you saying that the whole world was in war except the Arabs? At
Answer
the
my
time?
question, please.
What's your question?
Did you listen?
Say it
to
again.
me?
Sorry. So no, I was listening, but I kind of lost track because I
Okay.
responded
You
with
have
what
two
Yes,
societies.
I'm sorry. My
One,
mistake. Go ahead.
one is stable, has a constant access to food, doesn't have internal conflict, is not regularly at war, and has large trade resources. And the other is not stable, does not have constant access to food, is constantly at war, has internal strife, doesn't have a whole lot of mutual trade. Which society do you think is going to make better scientific achievements?
That was not the state of the world at that time. That's wrong. What you
Answer
said.
my question.
That's a silly question. So that you're talking about like
my
fantasy. You're
question.
talking about some. No. You're talking about some state of mind that doesn't reflect reality. So what?
Are you afraid to answer my
Romans.
question?
No, because it's the question's irrelevant to this.
Okay,
I'm
so
talking
then
about
answer
God
it.
giving
If it's
knowledge to
irrelevant, just
people.
answer it and then move on.
Sorry.
If it's irrelevant, then answer it and move on.
Okay, was the Byzantine Empire? That was the Byzantine Empire because Heraclius was the current
Sorry,
king.
is that an answer to my question?
No. Was the Byzantine Empire at war with who?
Is that an answer to my question? Does an answer to the
what-
question start with another question?
But you're talking about something that's not the reality of the situation.
That
You're talking about
I'm
something that's
asking you a
irrelevant.
question.
That's like me saying, "Oh, what if
It's
on
a
the moon there was
hypothetical.
peace?"
It's a
Was
hypothetical, my
there
guy.
peace on the moon? So hence, rocks on the moon should have developed algebra,
So
for example.
look, here's how this
That's a
is going to
stupid
go.
question,
Moon.
dude. You're a
Moon.
smart
Here's
guy.
the
Come
thing.
on,
Here's
do
the
better
thing,
than
Moon.
that.
This is
Atheist God is
this is my life,
very shameful.
and so you're either going to answer the question or I'm going to boot you.
Yeah, you're gonna boot me because that's the best you got. You got answers to these questions. I've given you. I've
So
literally
you're
shown you
not
that
going
God
to answer my
gives
question.
knowledge to human. God gives knowledge to humans.
Wait, so you're not
through
going to answer
revelation
my
of
question?
prophets. No, that wasn't the state of the world. You're talking
Okay.
about some nonsense. You're making things.
Bye bye. I told him what would happen. Oh, let's bring up what's his face? I don't even remember his name. Hey, Spider-Man, how's it going?
Yeah, it's happening in many worlds, man.
Are you doing all right, Spider-Man? Or are we Doctor Strange now?
Yeah, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, or Westeros, whatever you believe in, all these different worlds.
Yeah, and you believe in the one above all. You believe in it's Angel Investor. That's your name. That's right. You believe in the one above all. You believe in a man who took a weekend off to die for our sins or something, right?
Yeah, I believe in God. So do most human beings.
Okay. Most human beings used to think the Earth was flat too.
But most human beings believe in God. Believe we have a transcendent
most human beings used to think the Earth was flat. Not a great argument, though.
Of course it is, but that's what's called qualitative data, because this is what most humans experience. It's like 1%, 2%.
Most humans experience, heterosexual attractions. Does that mean that? Oh no, you would think that homosexual attractions are wrong, though, wouldn't you?
But you believe. Hold up. But you believe akin to flat Earth. Why are so few people atheists if atheism is so logical?
Well, it's not that few people. It's like a pretty sizable percentage.
It's like 1% of the African American community, like 2 or 3%.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, but that's just because African Americans were like heavily indoctrinated during the slavery times.
But it's like 2 to 3% of the world population. If you look at demographics,
I don't think that's true.
Most of them are in China
or Southeast or Asia. Yeah, Asia and China. Well, China's in Asia, but it's mostly in Asia.
Of course, they live in a communist because to an atheist, government is God.
So do you think
government is almighty to atheists?
Hey, so do you think that the majority of Thai people believe in God?
Of who?
Thai people from Thailand.
Oh, they probably in Thailand. I would suspect not.
Yeah, so that's like the vast majority of them do not believe in God.
Yeah, of course.
So are they communist now?
Yeah, but the fact is, it's such a small percentage of them. You like flat earthers.
Wait,
like
do you think? Hold on. Are Thai people communist now?
You said what now?
Are Thai people communist?
No.
Okay.
But most of them are in China.
But they're also
almost half of atheists come from China.
Okay, sure. China has like what, 20% of the world's population or something? No, not 20%, like 14%.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, they're going to have most of everything. You know that.
Yeah,
you know that
that's
most.
Because, no, they don't.
You know that most women come from.
They
China.
Don't have most.
China
believers.
has the most women of any country. Actually, maybe not. They have the most men of any country, right?
Listen, don't you think government is all powerful? Don't you see government is all powerful?
No.
Well, why wouldn't government be all powerful?
It's made of people. What kind of question is that?
I mean, if you don't have anything to appeal to outside of government, then who's more powerful? And for instance,
what are you talking, Angel? What are you doing?
And for instance, in Uganda, they made homosexuality illegal.
Okay, Uganda doesn't like gay people.
The government,
I guess.
And most people agree with it, who's more powerful than the government?
Wait, you didn't say most powerful. You said all powerful.
Yeah,
they're not all powerful.
That's what you have to believe.
They might have.
Who's more powerful than government?
Hey, so Angel, that's a cool straw man.
If your rights don't come from, hold on, let me ask the question.
No, it's good. That's a cool straw man. Have you built anything else out of hay recently?
I'm just asking the question. If your rights don't come from
your
God,
question is a straw man.
If your rights don't come from God, and your freedom and liberty don't come from God, and then who gives you your freedom of government? Who's almighty to you if there's nothing outside of government?
Okay, well, either you're... So if you interrupt me while I answer, I'm going to kick you, okay?
You're getting pinned against the wall. I know you're upset.
No, I'm going to answer, but if you interrupt me while I'm answering, I'm just going to kick you. I don't have time for this bullshit. So, look, the government has a lot of power, insofar as the government is, at least in principle, a mutually agreed upon system of governance. And so, in that sense, at least if you live in a democratic place or some sort of republic, then collectively, we all grant each other rights. But that doesn't mean that the government is all-powerful. All-powerful means that they can do anything. They cannot do anything. The government cannot just snap its fingers and make humans fly, like without airplanes or anything. They are very powerful. They are perhaps maximally powerful, given the conditions of a given country. but they are certainly not all powerful.
That's the point. If you're an atheist and your rights don't come from God, then your rights come from government. You have no rights. Let me ask you, if an atheist, for instance, president came into power, and the atheist president said, or the United States said, well, I don't believe in no God. Your rights don't come from God. They come from government. And you should have to earn your rights. We won't declare martial law, and your rights are coming from government. They don't come from no imaginary God. Why wouldn't he be in line with your thinking and all other atheists thinking who think we are just soulless animals and soulless chemicals? Why would he be wrong?
So, in my view...
Could you answer my question like I answered yours? Why would he be wrong?
You didn't answer my question.
Let me answer the question.
I didn't ask you a question.
Just soulless animals,
I didn't ask you a question.
I answered your question. And
I never asked you a question.
Would you do me
Wait,
the courtesy?
I didn't ask you a question at all.
Would you do me the courtesy of asking mine?
You already asked it. I was going to answer it.
Can I just get 1 second?
You already asked your question, but sure, I guess. Go ahead.
Okay. Because see, atheism can't explain these transcendent truths of human nature. If atheist came to power and said these things, and you don't get your rights from God, you have no rights, you have no liberty, you have no freedom, because your rights come from government.
That's great. I disagree with that premise. I think that rights come from mutual agreements. And so if you somehow elected a president that said, I'm actually going to take away all your rights, and then everybody who is living in the United States still mutually agreed on having these rights, then we would just kick that president out.
He's controlled, not if he have control of the army. And what if most people start to agree with him? Then is he right then?
Then they would take away the rights of the people who don't agree with him.
Is he right then?
No, that doesn't make him right. I'm just telling you where rights come from.
Why would he be wrong? Explain to me why he's
wrong. The ability to enforce power is not the same as morals.
What you talking about? You trying to act like there's some standard that extends beyond government. Why would he be wrong? If he says
so. If you're asking for morals,
hold on. Let me get my question out.
Are you asking for moral standards? Let me get my question out. Asking about? I know what your question is. Are you asking about moral standards?
Listen, I'm asking you about a specific question about government. If there's nothing that transcends human nature, and there's nothing outside of human nature, and all we are is soulless animals and soulless chemicals, if a guy comes into power who says there is no God, is imaginary, you have no rights, your rights should be earned, like they do, like North Korea, Iran has the moral police. They beat women in the street at times for not following their moral policy. Why are they wrong for having a moral police?
Oh yeah, because it disagrees with my stances. Next question.
I mean, because they disagree with you. I'm saying if there's no God, then the government is all powerful according to you, according to atheists.
Well, that's a cool straw man. Have you built anything else out of pay recently?
Don't you see why most people reject atheism? Because it has no answer to the transcendent truths of human nature.
Atheism. They might reject atheism because you give straw mans of atheism, and they're convinced that that's what atheism actually is. But if you actually stop and think for a second, use that wrinkly noodle you got in your brain, and actually think about what atheism entails, rather than just straw manning it, you might actually come to a reasonable conclusion.
Listen, Blitz. Most people think they have a transcendent connection to God or a transcendent connection to other human beings. That's why atheism
I don't care.
You want to tell people their human experience is not real. It's all a trick of the brain. You don't really love your mother. You don't really love anybody.
Well, I would
it's all
never
a trick
say
of the
that,
brain.
cool.
You're just soulless chemicals.
You're
just gorillas in the mist.
Angel. I mean, you're a theist. You think that the Holocaust was good. You think that the bombing of Syria was a good thing because God enabled it, right? So that must be your belief. See, I can do straw mans too.
Look, Blitz, you're pinned up against the wall because you have no.
The only person who will pin me up against the wall is my wife, not you, Angel.
Hold up. If God doesn't exist and all you are is soulless chemical, is there a soul, or are you more than just soulless chemicals?
Am I more than just soulless chemicals?
Are you just a soulless animal? Or
yeah. I don't think souls exist, and I am an animal. Absolutely.
So you're just a soulless animal.
Yeah. So are you.
And so is your wife, and so there's nothing that transcends.
And you love the Holocaust, right?
Hold up. Let me ask you a question.
And you think that everybody should burn in hell for eternity if they don't believe in Jesus. Right?
like if you're just a soulless animal.
Wait, hold on. Answer my question. Do you, if you're a Christian, you think that people who don't believe in Jesus should burn in hell for eternity, right?
If that's the punishment God gives out, yeah.
Yeah, and you're just okay with that. That's just a normal thing for a Christian.
You know why? Because we're not just soulless animals. We're spiritual.
I'd rather be a soulless animal than believe that anybody deserves eternal torment.
You know why? Because we're spiritual beings. We have a spirit and a soul.
Actually, I disagree. There is one person who deserves eternal torment, and it's you, because you're putting me through eternal torment right now.
Listen, I mean, we have a soul and a spirit. This is why atheism only 1% of the black community and 2% of the population. Human beings experience a connection to other human beings. Soulless atheists try to.
Cool. This is cool and irrelevant.
Yeah, of course it is, because we have a transcendent nature.
So Angel, have you ever considered going into Farmer? Because
hold up.
No, you hold up. You haven't stopped talking for like more than 30 seconds. Have you ever considered going into the farming business? Because you're doing a great job building straw men out of all of this hay that you're growing.
Listen, do you agree? Let me ask you if you agree with this. That most human beings feel to have a transcendent connection to something outside of the material.
I'm sure that most human beings feel that.
Hold up. And if I remember right, you agree with me that materialism is false. Is that correct?
Well, I'm a physicalist, not a materialist.
But do you agree? So you agree with me that materialism is false?
Sure, I'm a physicalist, not a materialist.
Well, great. Well, you agree with me that most human beings feel that there's something more than just material nature.
Yeah, and
that's
also most human beings feel that it's okay to torture people for eternity.
There's a material, because materialism, they have a transcendent connection outside.
Sure, I'm a physicalist, not a materialist.
Soulless sack of chemicals. Listen, and when you say you're a physicalist, explain that. Explain that to me.
That all things are governed by physical laws.
No, explain exactly what's covered by physicalism.
I just did.
Okay. That are abstract things covered by physical laws.
No, that all things are describable by physical laws. I said that all things are describable. Hey, can you like not overtalk me for like, half a second? Can you like have some self-control? You're a goddamn adult. Act like one, okay?
Go ahead, answer the question.
A physicalist is somebody who thinks that all physical things are governed or describable by physical laws.
Mm-hmm. Okay, everything is governed and defined by physical laws. What physical laws govern quantum fields?
So I said governed or describable by, and so the physical laws that we use to describe quantum fields, are, for example, the Schrodinger equation that would describe non-relativistic quantum fields. We would use other things like the Yang-Mill action to describe, say, SU3 or SU2 quantum fields.
You know why you paused? Because you have a video.
I didn't pause.
You have a video that you posted that destroys your whole argument.
No, it doesn't.
You have a video.
It does if you strawman my view, but
I wish I remember the name of that video you posted. Quantum
ontology. It's something about quantum ontology. Yeah, the thing is,
that's it. Quantum ontology.
So here's the lovely thing.
You said in quantum. Hold on.
No.
What did you say in that video?
You're about to strawman me, so I'm gonna beat you to the punch. That view perhaps disagrees with materialism. It doesn't disagree at all with physicalism.
It does disagree with physical, because you said we don't even know what's physical.
It doesn't.
You said we don't even what's really real.
Knowing what's real has nothing to do with physicalism. Hold up. Has nothing to do with physicalism.
Blitz, in the video you said what's really real. If you don't know what's really real, how can you say everything is physical if you yourself are saying you don't know what's really real?
Saying physicalism is not everything is physical. It's everything is describable using physical laws.
But Blitz, you just said in that video that everything
it's not relevant.
We don't know what's really real.
It's not relevant for physicalism.
Hold up, answer the question. How do we know if everything is physical? Why don't you know what's everything?
I never
really
said
real?
everything is physical. Everything is describable by physical laws.
So you got things that's outside of physical, outside of the physical.
Well, it depends on what you mean by physical, and that's the issue. How do we define what physical is?
But
we don't need that in order to talk.
How is non-locality? Hold up. How is non-locality, quantum non-locality?
I don't
physical?
think you could define non-locality if you bit you in the ass. So I'm not
going
to have that discussion with you.
How is quantum? Hold up. Answer the question.
I'm not going to have that conversation with you because I don't think you know what quantum non-locality is.
You all over the place, Blitz. Look.
I'd be happy to pin you up against the wall if that's what you're asking for.
How is quantum non-locality non-physical?
I don't believe in quantum non-locality.
What? You don't believe?
No.
It's been verified in experiment.
Only if you accept the Copenhagen interpretation, which I don't.
It's been non-locality has been.
Only if you accept the Copenhagen interpretation.
Blitz, define quantum non-locality.
Quantum non-locality is the phenomenon where you can have instantaneous processes happening. The best example would be the wave function.
And that's entanglement. That's entanglement.
Entanglement doesn't imply non-locality.
That's why Einstein called entanglement spooky action at a distance because of non-locality.
Only if you assume the Copenhagen interpretation.
Woo, Blitz. Hold up. There's a
the laughing
experiment.
is just a sign of insecurity, which is really embarrassing for you.
No, it's embarrassing for you because you failed.
Oh no, it's not embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for you. You hear yourself?
It's a recent experiment.
Adult,
have you read this recent experiment?
I don't think that you would know an experiment if it bit you in the ass.
Hold up. Do you know what Leggett-Garg inequality is? What is Leggett-Garg inequality?
I have no idea. I don't think that you do either.
You don't know? Hold up. You're a physicist and you don't know what Leggett-Garg inequality is?
No, I don't know. I don't know everything, but you know.
Oh my God. Blitz. You can't. Here's the paper. Listen. Leggett-Garg inequality. Let me tell you what it is.
Okay.
Leggett-Garg inequality. Huh? Can I tell you?
Without reading from the paper, define it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just telling you what it is. It's saying that at a certain size, there shouldn't be when certain things reach a certain size. Quantum says there shouldn't be any correlation between these two objects. That you have separate existence. There shouldn't be any correlation. So over a certain threshold,
that's not an inequality. That's very strange.
Goodness. Can you?
That was just a description of something should or should not be a certain way.
If the inequality is violated, then local realism.
What inequality? You didn't describe an inequality. You just said such and such a thing shouldn't be such and such a way.
It's called. Listen,
what's the inequality? What's the inequality? What's the actual inequality?
Let me tell you. Can you let me tell you, Blitz?
Sure. I don't think you know
the paper. Let me tell you. The paper is called "Violation of Leggett-Garg Inequality Using Ideal Negative Measurements in Neutron Interferometry." And it says, in the paper. This is from the paper. Our experiment shows nature is really as strange as quantum theory claims. No matter which classical macroscopically realistic theory you come up with, it will never be able to explain reality. That's because there's this non-local, non-physical connection, and this is coming from the Leggett-Garg inequality.
Is your claim that this is disproved? Is your claim that this is...
Have you read the paper, Blitz?
No, of course I haven't read the paper. You're telling me about it for the first time.
You didn't even know what... Well, let me educate you a little. You didn't even know... Yeah.
So I actually don't trust you to properly relay quantum mechanics to me. Do you know what... Because you didn't even know what Leggett-Garg... Hold on.
You know what?
So to be clear,
Blitz.
Angel, before you educate me, do you know what a unitary transformation is?
I am. Let me ask it. I am absolutely shocked.
Do you know what a unitary transformation is?
That you don't know what Leggett-Garg inequality.
Do you know what a unitary transformation is?
Yes, it occurs in the Schrodinger equation.
Do you know what a unitary transformation is?
Yeah, it occurs in the Schrodinger equation.
Do you know what it is?
Yes, it's It's the transformed states, uniform transformed states into eigenstates.
No, that's not what a
yes, it is.
It's not a uniform anything. It's a particular type of matrix multiplication. So, it's
still involved.
I'm not going to believe anything that you tell me about quantum mechanics.
Is unitary transformations involved in the Schrodinger equation?
They can be.
Thank you. Now answer my question.
No, I'm not going to have a conversation with you about quantum mechanics if you don't know what unitary transformation is.
Why didn't you assign a physicist? You don't know what the Garg inequality is?
You don't know what a unitary transformation is. So, like, I don't know,
I can't believe this. I'm
Your
talking to a
incredulity
person.
is not an argument.
I don't claim to be a PhD. You do. You claim to be a physicist.
I do have a PhD. Yeah, in physics.
I work in information theory. I work in information.
I would go double check that if I were you, because I don't know if you actually have any good information.
I work with you claim to be this PhD physicist.
Not only claim
and
that,
you didn't know what Legge-Garg inequality was.
Yep, and you don't know what a unitary transformation is.
That's absolutely and again, let's go back to what we was talking about.
Hey, do you know what the sorry, one sec. I just have to double check something.
Can we go back real quick?
Hold on. You said that you work in information technology, right?
I work with information with writing computer code.
So do you know what the Deutsch-Joschel algorithm is?
No.
Oh, and you call yourself a person who works with information who writes computer code, and you don't know what the Deutsch-Joschel argument is, or algorithm is? How could you call yourself an information specialist? How could you say that you write code if you don't know what the Deutsch-Joschel algorithm is? That's so absurd.
I know who Paul Shannon is. I know what information is. I know what JavaScript is. I know what HTML is. But the fact of the matter is, you, in your video, you said quantum ontology. You said that you don't know what's really real. And then you said everything is physical. You then denied quantum non-locality, which
I'm not convinced that you understand what any of this is.
Quantum entanglement.
So I'm not really going to believe some random know nothing on quantum mechanics.
I mean,
when you don't even know what a unitary transformation is.
Do you teach physics?
No, not right now. I'm at a research.
I'm about to say your students should walk out. They should be like, what? Well,
I generally actually have good reviews.
Let's do a walkout.
I generally have good reviews.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Do you teach it all?
Huh?
Do you teach it all?
I can't hear you. What you say?
Do you teach at all?
No.
Okay, good.
But did you say in your? I just want to make sure. I don't want to accuse you of something that you didn't do. Did you say in your video you don't know what's really real?
Yeah, I don't know what the fundamental ontology of the universe is. I don't think you do either.
That's the point. If
you mean
you
humility?
Don't know,
humility is the point?
How can you say anything?
Wait. Is humility the point? Because if so, I agree. Absolutely, we should be epistemologically humble and not claim absolute knowledge about anything.
Listen, Blitz,
absolutely,
the point is,
I agree. You know what, Angel? Okay. We agree on this. We agree. We should be humble.
But can I go to the next step? How can you say anything?
I don't think you can. But go
how can
ahead.
you say anything against the existence of God when you don't know anything about your own existence?
Who said I don't know anything? I didn't say that.
If you don't know what's real,
wait? Do you know what God is thinking right now?
Hold on. Do you know, if you don't know what's really real, then how can you know God isn't real?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Do you know what God is thinking? Do you know what God is thinking right now? No. I'm sorry.
If you don't know what's really real,
how do I know that God's not real? Because your God is contradictory. How about that?
Listen.
Now, do you know what God is thinking right now?
If you don't know what's really real, Blitz, how can you say
because your God is contradictory? Next
contradictory.
Actually, no. I'm gonna ask a question next.
Contradictory.
So do you know what God is thinking? Oh yeah, because he thought the Holocaust was good. He thought the Holocaust was good. That's why.
Contradictory in what way?
Yeah. He thought the Holocaust was good, which is contradictory with him being all loving. So you know.
Okay.
But anyway, so do you think that you know what God is thinking right now?
Do I think what?
Do you think you know what God? Oh, wait, if you don't know what God is thinking, how can you know if He's even real?
Because God reveals Himself to you.
Oh, it all makes sense now. God is speaking to you right now. Is that why you're speaking in tongues and why nobody can understand what you're saying?
You know what? Because God is all-knowing and you're not. You just admit you don't even know what's really real. Why would
apparently I know better. I know better than your God, knowing that the Holocaust is bad.
You can't explain basic things about your own existence. Why would I listen to you about anything?
Well, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should listen to the voices in your head instead. You should listen to the voices in your head instead. That's a
Why
good way
wouldn't I
to
listen
get
to
truth
the
about the
guy?
real world, right?
But I don't think. Look, I don't like you. I don't think I'm a soulless animal. I think I have a connection
I know.
to
You don't think it all, do you?
I got like Gödel, who showed in his incompleteness theorem.
I'm sure.
Who said
I'm sure.
you
I'm sure you
afterlife.
understand that theorem.
Who said because of his theorem he believes in the afterlife and believed in God and was a Platonist because of his theory. That's what he said. But according to you, you're just a sack of chemicals. But there's no material reality.
Yeah, your incredulity is such a good argument, Angel. Angel, your incredulity. It's perfect. It's the icing on the cake. It's the icing on the stupid cake, Blitz. Angel. The incredulity just goes.
Blitz, you done fumbled all over
frosting
this conversation
for just the layers of stupidity.
You just done fumbled. Listen, if materialism is false, and as you say, materialism is false, and matter doesn't have any sort of objective existence.
I never said that.
Then what? Hold up. You said, say that again?
I never said that matter doesn't have any objective existence.
Well, hold up. If materialism is false, how can matter have...
Materialism... So I think you just don't know what materialism is.
Define materialism, Blitz.
Materialism is just the position that matter is all there is. That's all materialism is.
So if materialism is false, how can matter be something physical?
Those two things are not contradictory.
Of course they are.
Okay, they're not according to my definition of materialism. What are you talking about?
Because you saying materialism is false, though. That's why. Your statement, you admit that materialism is false.
Sorry, 1 sec. I can't hear anything that you're saying, by the way. Oh, okay, 1 sec. So the only thing implied by materialism being false is that there could be non-material things that also exist.
Is matter physical? Is matter physical?
I suspect so, yeah.
What makes matter? Because let me get this out. Because Heisenberg said that subatomic particles weren't real in the physical sense. So did Max Planck. So did
I suspect that
Niels
these things
Bohr.
are real. I just don't know what form that ontology takes.
So did Niels Bohr. So I'm asking you, as a physicist who supposedly knows this stuff, is matter real?
Yes, I think obviously matter's real.
Does matter have an objective physical reality, or is this
yes, I just don't know what form it takes. I answered your question. Okay, Angel, you have to let me answer your question. I've already answered it twice.
Okay, answer it this way. Does matter have an objective physical existence, or is matter just the particle-like nature of a quantum of a wave system?
Matter is that's not.
Which one is it?
Well, I don't know which one it is, but those are not in contradiction with each other.
Blitz, you told me last time I was on here that what we call a particle is just the quantum-like, particle-like nature that's actually always a wave.
That's what our best model.
That's what quantum field theory tells us. So how can matter? And you say materialism is false. Have an objective physical existence if it's just the particle-like nature of a quantum system.
The fields can have an objective physical existence, which means that the matter does too.
But
I don't know why you're struggling so much.
Where are quantum fields located?
Everywhere.
Space?
By definition, everywhere.
So everywhere.
Yeah.
But even in your thing, you admit that they're not physical in your quantum ontology.
Well, I don't know what the true ontology of the universe is. That's called intellectual humility.
They not matter. So
that's called intellectual humility, and I suggest that you try it sometime.
You have to admit, you have to agree with me and most Christians out here. Most Christians, for the Bible tells us that the Bible tells us we both body, soul, and spirit. You have to agree with me that we can't be just the body, because what we call the body is made of subatomic particles, and these subatomic particles are... Let me finish. And these subatomic particles are excitations of quantum fields, and they're just the particle-like nature of a quantum system, and they're not independent objective reality like a particle of salt or a particle of sand. Would you agree with that?
No.
Would you agree that...
No. Why would I agree with you on that?
Blitz! Are you saying...
Incredulity is a good look on you, Angel.
Blitz, I'm gonna ask you this again. Because I know you agree, because we talked about this before.
I think that you may have just misunderstood me then.
Blitz, you think that a particle-like nature of a quantum system has an objective, independent existence as a particle?
There are particle-like properties of quantum fields, absolutely.
Do you think the particle-like nature has existence independent of a quantum wave? That is just
no. That's a category error. The particle-like excitation. The particle-like excitation. The particle-like excitation of a quantum field is emergent from the quantum field, but it still is a particle-like behavior.
Particle-like? That don't mean it's a particle. Even in this book, Paul Davies.
That's all a particle is. A particle is just something that behaves particle-like.
In Paul Davies' book, have you read Paul Davies' book called The Matter Myth?
No, I haven't.
You know who Paul Davies is?
I do. I've met him.
Okay. Yeah, he wrote a book called The Matter Myth, and his first chapter in his book is The Death of Materialism. And he talks about this. Huh?
Don't care. Cool, don't care.
Why? You don't like Paul Davies now?
I don't have any strong feelings about him one way or the other.
He's your fellow physicist. I mean, show him a little respect.
I don't. Why would I have any strong feelings about any of his work?
Look, Blitz. I ended here because I hope you take all of this in, though.
Hey, me too. I hope you take all of everything I said in. Do you remember anything that I said?
We have a transcendent nature that transcends our physics, and we're not just a super soulless chemicals or soulless animals. There's more to us. There's body, soul, and spirit, and Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Okay.
God bless you.
All right. Bye, Angel. Angel's quite a character. Oh. All right. We have time for probably one more guest. Gotta love Angel, though. It's at least fun. All right. Let's bring on somebody who has... Let's bring on Ricardo. There we go. Is RC in the guest box? I don't think he's in the guest box. Oh, he is in the guest box. Maybe I'll bring him on next if this guy Ricardo doesn't show up. Sorry, I didn't even see it. All right, let's bring on RC. This guy's not showing up. There he is.
That's crazy. You bring on misogynists and stuff. That's
well, yeah. I mean,
wow.
I just talked. I've spoken to a homophobe just 2 minutes ago. I spoke to a guy who probably is a homophobe earlier than that. Like, you know, it just happens. Like, it turns out that theists tend to have bad views. Who would have thunk?
What's your standard of even measuring that?
My values.
So because you disagree, then they're bad values.
Yes.
But if your standard is yourself, then I myself disagree with your standard. Now who's right?
I'm still right because I don't care about your. I don't care about
you're still
whether
right.
You disagree with me. Yep.
W argument from a physicist. I am right because I don't care.
Well, yeah. If you're asking me who's right in determining which values are important, the answer is my values are important.
Yeah, but my values are important too. So whose values
They're
are
important
more important
to you? I don't care about them.
Your values are important to you, though.
Yeah.
But my values are important to me.
I understand that your values are important to you. I don't care about at all.
See, this is the ultimate fork in the road of an atheist. You can't say that this way is more important. You can't. Objectively, you can't.
Oh, I just did.
No, you didn't. You subjectively said that your views are more important.
I don't think that objective morals exist.
So you admitted that it wasn't objective. Okay, so why did you say you just did?
Well, I just explained that my thing is, I mean, objectively, in my view, my morals are more important. That is objectively true.
What's your objective measure?
My subjective experience. I mean, this is an objective statement about a subjective experience. Yeah.
Your subjective experience is your objective measure. That makes a lot of sense.
No. I think you misunderstood, RC. RC, I think you just misunderstood. It is objectively true that my subjective experience is a certain way, right?
It's objectively true? So what's your objective measure?
So like for example, it is objectively true that I'm having a subjective experience right now. Do we agree on that?
No, because it's not objective.
Well, you might not agree because you might think I'm a philosophical zombie, but I can verify internally that it is objectively true that I'm having a subjective experience.
So,
but anyway, I imagine this isn't what you wanted to talk about. So what did you want to talk about?
No, I have a question for you. So
yeah, sure.
I mean, I can just segue from what you said about verifying internally. So if you're looking for proof of God and someone tells you, well, I've had experience with God, and they give you their testimony, is this satisfactory evidence for you to believe in God?
No, because it wasn't an experience I had. I understand that it could be. I understand that it can be compelling for them, and I'm not going to fault anyone for having a personal experience and then being compelled to believe in God. If that happened to me, I would probably believe in God too. But
so
until that happens to me, why would I accept that?
So let me just make this clear then. Someone's internal experience and giving you their testimony does not make that thing to be true, just because they believe.
Not. Sure they're not.
Okay, so then why do you say it's true when someone says their gender doesn't align with their sex? Why am I supposed to believe in everyone?
Wait, hold on. Is this at all related to the God claim, or did you just come on to rage against trans people?
You see, you won't engage with that question.
Well, that's not the topic of conversation.
No, because you change your standard of evidence.
Go deal with trans people.
My point is that you change your standard of evidence. That's my point. Depending on the subject matter, you will change your standard of evidence.
Okay, so do you want to talk about the topic, or do you want to just
see? I love how you won't engage. Why do you change your standard of evidence then? Why don't you answer that question?
Is your goal to talk about trans people here? Because if that's why you came on, I don't know, man.
No, my goal is painting to you an analogy. I can paint you another analogy that still serves the same purpose. Why don't you engage with why you change your standard of evidence?
Oh, because we're talking about different categories of things. That's all.
We're talking about different categories of things. Yeah, that's the point of an analogy, to show your hypocrisy and your double standard.
No, I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the reason why I trust people's internal experiences for things like gender is because I recognize that gender is solely an internal experience, and so the only way that we can measure that internal experience.
So is people's relationship with Jesus Christ, literally the same.
Oh, that relationship, absolutely. I will grant that they have this relationship. I just don't think that the object of the relationship exists.
But when we say that about the people you protect, you call us transphobic. So how about your God?
Well, yeah, that's because there's no object of a relationship.
You're hateful
there.
To Christians.
Okay. Well, RC, I'm not hateful to Christians, just stupid people. It just happens to be that some Christians are stupid.
When you say that you don't believe our testimony, that's not hateful. But when we don't believe the testimony of people that have an illness, then
RC,
that's hateful.
You're misunderstanding me. I believe, like, when somebody comes on and says, I had such and such an experience, I will tell them, I'm sure that you had that experience. It's just not compelling to me.
Yeah, so you say that their experience is not grounded in reality. But when we say the same thing, either. We're bigots.
I just say it's not compelling to me. I said it's not compelling to me.
But when we say the same thing, that their evidence is not compelling
it doesn't have to
us, then we're bigots.
It doesn't have to be compelling to you. You just have to be respectful.
No, you're not respectful to. No, we don't have to be respectful.
Oh, well, I guess you don't have to be. If you want to be a douchebag, you don't have to be. But
no, because even when we say respectfully, I don't agree, we're fired, we're canceled.
Saying respectfully, I don't agree, is not being respectful.
So because we don't agree with their version of reality, we're being disrespectful?
Yeah, kinda. When
so then you're being disrespectful to Christians. Yeah. So you're literally being disrespectful.
Well, yeah. Okay, so you know what? You're right. I'm being disrespectful to Christians.
And Jews, so you're an anti-Semite too. That's crazy.
I guess I'm a self-hating Jew then. You're right. You got me.
Oh, wait a second. You are one?
Yeah, I'm Jewish.
That explains everything.
What does that mean?
I didn't know that.
Wait a minute,
bro.
What does that mean?
That explains everything.
Wait. What does that mean?
You've been hating us for thousands of years.
Oh my God. Wait, is RC going on his Nazi arc?
No, I don't like them, but I understand now. I get it.
You get it. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but that's real sus, bro. That's real sus, bro.
What's sus?
The sus is, oh, you hate Christians because you're Jewish. That's real sus, bro.
Yes.
I don't hate Christians. Yes. You know, one of my best friends who is in my wedding party is one of the most religious Christians that I know.
And you hate him. That's crazy.
I don't hate him at all. He's one of my best friends.
I don't believe that. That's crazy.
Why would I invite him to be in my wedding party if I hated him?
Look, I understand everything now. You know what? It was good talking to you. I hope you have a good day.
I guess RC's on his Nazi arc. What a wild world we live in. Who knew? Man. Yeah, RC is a special kind. I mean, like, I didn't know that I didn't know that RC was like a Kanye fan. That's rough. And that's gonna be forever on YouTube with RC just being like open, like anti-Semite. That's like, oof. All right, let's bring on another guest. You heard it here first, y'all. RC hates Jewish people. All right, let's bring up Caleb Delarman. Caleb will probably be our last guest. Do Bilbo? Okay, let's bring up Bilbo. Where's Bilbo? I don't see Bilbo in the guest box. Oh, Bilbo Saggins. Is that who we're talking to? Bilbo, how's it going? Judas, thank you for the $2. I appreciate you. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Pretty good.
Sweet.
I wanted to join the conversation. I've been seeing you talk to a couple people.
Yeah. What's up?
All right. So I believe that there is a God. I'm not a religious person, but I feel like there's logical reasoning to why I believe there's a God. I feel like there only needs two points to be made to show my position. So my first point is that I believe God is a title position rather than a singular entity. What I mean by that is like a CEO denotes a position of a company, but the CEO can change individually. So like Apple, there was Steve Jobs, he passed away, now we have Tim Cook. But that title position of CEO still holds the same amount of authority. So to me, a God is any entity or being that has more abilities relative to a creature. So I have a cat. To my cat, I am a god because my cat probably has a lifespan of 20 years, but the average human lifespan is like 80 years. So to a cat, humans live forever. Like my cat won't really ever see me age or go through my full life development because it can't conceive that because it can't live that long. For my cat, I could open doors, I could provide food out of thin air. I have a lot of abilities that my cat wouldn't be able to understand or generalize. That my cat understands my relationship is that I can provide things for my cat that my cat couldn't do on its own. So for a human, a god to a human would be any organism or creature that simply had more abilities than what a human had, that can do things that a human physically couldn't do or thought that was impossible.
Yeah, so look, I understand the position. You're defining God that way, but then that just means that then just God is not a very useful concept given that definition, because then literally CEOs are gods relative to their employees.
I would say that yes, like in terms of power position, a CEO can do things in a company that the regular employee couldn't do. And then I say that that relative position is how you would describe a cosmic being. You know, like, can humans create life? Can humans, make new planets or whatever? There's things that humans deem undoable or impossible that another organism or being could finally do easy.
So I agree if you're using that definition, but yes. I just don't think it's a useful definition, because then it becomes far too broad. When people say I believe in God, they're typically referring to one of very few things. They're believing in some sort of divine entity that is like responsible for causing the universe, the physical universe, to exist. That's what they mean. If by God you just mean if by God you just mean an alien that's more powerful than us, it's just not really useful as far as
okay. But based off of what you said about like a divine entity that creates life, whoever created humans,
I said that's responsible for the physical universe.
Okay, well that's what humans would describe. I guess the point what I'm trying to make is that a god in the universal scheme could be something that created humanity, like as a side project, like how humans have the ability to create little things on the side. But in the scale of the universe, that God isn't actually unique or special. Like a lot of people think that there's...
So Bilbo, if this is your definition of God, then I agree that thing exists in plurality. There's many such things. It's just not what I mean when I say God isn't real, or can you convince me to believe in your God? That's just not what I or most people mean when they say God. That's all. This is just a changing of definitions, and in my opinion, a not very useful one. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, we can agree to disagree on that, because I feel like there's a religious interpretation of God, like how an Indian version might believe in Krishna, a Christian person might believe in the Protestant version of Jesus, and everyone has a different depiction of what their God is like. I believe that in the past, humans could have been visited by extraterrestrials, or whatever you would define them as, to the point that in our history, we recorded them as gods because of their unique abilities and the things that those ancient humans saw. But I don't know if like the actual Judeo-Christian version of God exists. I believe that there is a creator and that the humans show sign of being created. My second point was, have you ever heard of the watch and the watchmaker before?
I have. It's a very, very, very bad argument. By the way, I need to shout out Morgan for the 5 gifts. Sorry that you need a drink after the guest today.
Hey.
Yeah, the watchmaker argument is like famously terrible.
Well, what I believe into the watchmaker argument is because I do think that an object that has significant enough complexity shows that it was created, kind of like Mount Rushmore. Yes, rocks have the ability on their own to look like faces due to weather patterns, water erosion. You can see a face on a mountain. Our brains are designed to see faces and things. However, for a mountain to be so specific, to have 4 or 5 different places, faces that look exactly like presidents, that are literally sculpted in a way that's viewable, makes it look like it was created. Like if you just stumbled upon Mount Rushmore, you wouldn't think that it was a natural formation. You would think at some point, at some time.
Are. Right. That's because I have background knowledge. I have background knowledge about statues, for example. But
so
if I didn't have any background knowledge about statues, I may as well think that it's actually a natural appearance.
I feel like even if you haven't seen what an object is before, because there's been a lot of ancient different tools and a lot of different ancient artifacts that we didn't know about, but we still realize that they're so unique that they're not natural.
Because we know what technology is. Whenever we're making an evaluation of something's history, we have a lot of background knowledge that goes into making that evaluation. But if you take somebody who doesn't know, who knows literally nothing, I don't know if they'd be able to make that evaluation. Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go? God, this person is like really... I think that there's a way to block somebody.
Anyways, but yeah, I feel like if you look at the humans, our immune system is the thing that stands out to me the most as being something by intelligent design. As an organism, you would die 10 times over if your body didn't have its immune system keeping track of all the germs and all of the different viruses that you may or may not come into contact with, and coming out with ways to defend itself. And I feel that just like how your computer comes with antivirus software, that there's a lot of subsystems that a computer will do that does not require any input from the user. And that is just, that is evidence of the intelligent design that the developers went into to make that operating system.
So
and whether or not you know how it works or not, you can see
Can I ask you a question?
The traces of that software.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So what defining characteristic do you use to determine whether an object is designed or not?
Okay, I would say its overall shape, its geography. There's certain shapes that are naturally occurring in nature, but stuff like straight lines, right angles, certain shapes and combination of shapes don't occur naturally. That will give you your first inclination.
Like right angles don't occur naturally?
I mean, they do, but not like in sequence. So if I were to give you, I don't know, like a pistol, there's like a formation of a couple of right angles, then you have some obtuse angles.
Crystals? Bismuth crystals have tons of right angles.
I was talking about pistols.
I know, I'm talking about bismuth crystals. Bismuth crystals have tons of right angles in them.
Yeah, and I know there's like basalt crystals that come out as like perfect hexagons. So like there's these natural formations that come out in perfect geographic shapes.
It can't just be the geometry that implies that.
But what I'm saying specifically about the geometry is the combination of those shapes. Like you're not going to find a perfectly sculpted car.
Which particular combination?
Well, like in the example I use as a pistol, like a pistol has one flat side, and
I want a criteria.
Say that again. You were breaking up.
I don't want an example. I want a criteria.
Oh, so the criteria I would say would be a combination of geographic shapes. So different.
Okay, so what's the combination? Shapes. What is the combination that's required?
I don't think there's a specific formula. I think it's the mending. Like if you were to look at a car, you would be able to break down into like
example.
5 basic.
I don't want examples. I want like look. So here's the thing. What I need is something that I can use, and I can go look at something I've never seen before and don't know anything about, and I can use that I can use the formula that you're giving me to figure out if it's designed or not.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the first thing you can look at is 2 geographic shapes being melded together.
Presumably you mean geometric shapes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, geometric shapes. So I guess I was saying geographic
when you say melded together, what do you mean?
Well, I keep using the example of a pistol in a car because you can get basic shapes out of these, but they're connected together. Like a car is oval shaped. It has some other circles to get together. The base frame of a car is a rectangle. So all of these base shapes come together and they meld at certain points to give you the sculpture of a car. Even
so
like
just mean something that's like vaguely more than one shape. Because like a good example would be. Well, I'll wait. Miss Moss, thank you for becoming a subscriber on TikTok. I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot. We don't have a whole lot of time left anyway. Wow, this anti-woke boy is really obsessed with fedoras. Like, that's really, like, kind of cute. Oh, he left. All right, well, anyway, it is 11 o'clock, which means that it's time for me to end the live. I don't have games to play. I'm going to bed. It's late. So, y'all, I'm going to end the live here. So if you're watching on TikTok or on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow, make sure to like the live. Go join the Discord. There's a Discord link in the description of the YouTube. There's a Discord link in the link tree in my bio on TikTok. Cool, lots of cool places where you can go and hang out with me. But yeah, I'm gonna go to bed because it's late and I want to go to sleep. So thank you all for being here, and I'll be here around the same time tomorrow. Have a good one.